Special Agent with Homeland Security Investigations, okay, guys? HSI. The cases that I did mostly were human smuggling and drug trafficking. No one else has these documents, by the way.
Here's what Feddit covers.
Dr. Lafredo confirmed lacerations due to stepping on glass.
Murder investigations.
You see him reaching in his jacket. You don't know. And he's positioning. Been on February 13, 2019.
You're facing 2 counts of premeditated murder,
Racketeering and RICO conspiracies.
Young Slime Life, hereinafter referred to as YSL. The defendants, 6ix9ine, and then this is Billy Seiko right here. Now, when they first started, guys, 6ix9ine ran. I'm a Fed. I'm watching this music video. You know, I'm bobbing my head like, hey, this shit lit. But at the same time, I'm pausing. Oh, wait, who this? Right? Oh, who's that in the back?
Firearms and violent crime.
AKA Pushaisi violated.
you're ordered to stay away from the victim.
Rapper Pushaisi arrested after shooting at King of Diamonds, Miami strip club, injured one person. This is the one that's gonna fuck him up because this gun is not traceable. Well, it happened at the gun range. Here's your boy 42 Doug right here on the left. Okay.
Sex trafficking and sex crimes.
They can effectively link him to paying an underage girl.
I'm gonna lock my fifth amendment right.
And the first bomb went off right here.
Suspect 2 set down a backpack at the site of the second explosion.
Inspired by Al-Qaeda. 2 terrorists, brothers, Dzhokhar Sarnev and Tamerlan Sarnev.
When the cartels ship drugs into the country.
As this guy got arrested for espionage, okay, trading secrets with the Russians for monetary compensation. The largest corrupt police bust in New Orleans history.
The days of the police are gone.
So he was in this bad boy. We're gonna go over his past, the gang ties, so that this all makes sense. All right, we're back. What's up, guys? Welcome to Feddit. Sorry about that. I think the audio should be good now. Give me ones in the chat if you guys can actually hear me. Give me ones in the chat if you guys can actually hear me. I'm actually sitting at the table today. I got Angie and Kim helping me out behind the scenes, so I can go ahead and yap to y'all. We good?
Yeah.
We're good now, ladies? Okay. So, guys, yeah, I know this is a little bit of a different setup for Feddit, man. But, you know, I got the 2 lovely ladies helping me out here, so I'll be able to sit here at the table. And Angie's going to be behind the 1s and 2s, and Kim is going to help me out with the super chats and the chat in general. So, real quick, before I even get into it, Angie, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah. So tonight we're gonna have women power in this studio.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
That's why y'all deserve less.
So.
Yo, you guys want to know why we're late? Because I had to teach them how to do everything behind the scenes real quick. That's why we're late, man. Y'all over here saying, "Oh, yo, Bar, you smashing blah blah." No, I'm smashing my head into the wall trying to teach them this shit.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
That's slightly true. That was like 5 minutes of my
That's why we're late, guys.
teaching me what to do and thank him. So I hope like I don't mess up doing this because this is hard work. Like you guys should do to give a Thunder Mark. Oh, you have your soundboard there?
Yeah, I do. I have it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you see how hard it is behind the scenes now, huh?
It's very hard.
Yeah.
This is very hard. And well.
So tell people who you are for them that don't know, and then we'll go to Kim.
Well, my name is Angie. I'm the Venezuelan that can't speak English, as you always call me. And as always, I'll be helping Myron to do these cases. So yeah, that's about me.
Cool.
This is Kim.
And then Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm Colombian. I'm 18. And this is my first Feddit case. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, this is her test run. No, I'm just kidding. She actually did quite a bit of research into the Golden State Killer guys, aka Joseph James DeAngelo. She had done a bunch of research, sent me links and everything else like that. So it helped me kind of streamline the process of what we're gonna show you guys today, because I got a combination of documentaries, links, maps, all that stuff. So shout out to Kim for helping me behind the scenes with this particular serial killer, because you guys have been asking for this guy forever, man. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure that we cover this appropriately. Did a bunch of research on him. Earlier, we've been looking to do this guy for a long time, because I mean, Angie, they've been requesting him for what, months,
quite a
right?
while, yes.
Okay, so cool. Without further ado, let's actually, you know what? We'll hit the chats real quick. Let's pull up some of these chats real quick, and then I'll get into the broadcast. And guys, if you're just coming in, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So that goes. J.R. Choi says, hyped about this one. Okay, guys, I'm reading it from far, so sorry. My vision from I got my glasses. No, I don't. Never mind. Actually, you know what? You just read it, Kim. You got it, because I can't see from where I'm at.
You and Fresh should moderate a debate between Sneeko and Destiny versus Rolo and Saint to Sinner in studio.
Maybe I'll do that in the future. Maybe we'll do that in the future. You guys know that we're cool with all the parties, so maybe. What's this next one? You read them, Kim, because I can't see.
Hi from
Laredo.
Laredo.
Oh, Laredo. Yeah, that's Texas.
Myron, hopefully you get to break down the Jamie Zapata ICE agent case soon.
Oh man. Okay, guys, we're gonna go through this quick little story time real quick. So I never knew Jaime Zapata, right? Rest in peace to him. But for some of you guys that are wondering, he was a special agent of Homeland Security Investigations from the Laredo office. I think he was originally from Brownsville, and he got killed back in 2011 in Mexico while he was in, I think it was like outside of Mexico City by some Zetas, and they were like transporting equipment. And I never knew him personally because I came on the job after the fact. I came in 2014. He was killed in 2011. But all of his friends, my first supervisor was actually a very close friend of his. And you know, guys want to know what's crazy? It was actually my supervisor that was supposed to go to Mexico instead of Jaime. So if my supervisor had went, and he's a good friend of mine, if he had went to Mexico City, if he had went on that detail, he would have been the one that got killed in that situation. So rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to, obviously condolences to his family. I will definitely cover the Jaime Zapata case. But yeah, they ended up catching the guys that killed them and prosecuting them. Like the whole U.S. government went really hard on those guys to find them and go after them because they basically killed them for no reason, man. They wanted to steal their car because they were like in an armored SUV. And yeah, crazy story, man. Crazy story. But I know a lot of his close friends. I might even bring one of my friends that was like best friends with him on the show, and we'll talk about it for y'all. So we'll see what happens. With that one. But yeah, rest in peace to him. What else, Kim?
Why did the officer who got shot by the Louisville mass shooter need a GoFundMe for his lobotomy? Isn't the government supposed to pay for that?
Okay, that's the case that we did, Angie, if you remember.
Yeah, the Louisville shooter.
Yeah, because I know that is weird. I mean, it might be because the surgery is too expensive for it might not be covered by insurance. Maybe that's why. But I know that there's a GoFundMe for him. If you guys go back to the Louisville shooter, I had his link there to go donate. But he's been recovering. I've been following up with it, so he's doing better, man. So support and prayers to him and his family. And then we got who became a new member there? Kim?
Mike Worth.
Mike who?
Mike Worth.
Mike Worth. Shout out to you, bro. Welcome to the Feddit team, my friend. What else?
Have Angie a shout out to my amigo. You want to read that one?
Michaka says, have Angie give a shout out to my amigo Dixon Mayes. Shout out to you, Dixon Mayes. Okay.
What else?
We need funding, Myron. Don't forget where you came from.
Who's that coming from?
New Britain Police Department.
Oh, wow. You guys are hilarious, bro. Yeah, I'm from New Britain, Connecticut, so these guys are funny. Okay, what else?
Angie, be careful. There's probably leftover peanut butter all over that seat.
Oh, okay, fantastic. That's from New Britain Police Department again. And then who's this one from? E-Man G?
W Celsius Myron.
Oh, man, that's I shouldn't be giving them free advertising.
My man Myron putting the wives to work. Shout out to you.
I am. I gotta put wife number 2 and 3 to work. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, man. Shout out to them for coming out and helping me behind the scenes. What else do we got?
The fact that you have an 18-year-old and with a bunch of old heads says a lot about this podcast.
What the fuck? Dude, I don't know what that was. That supposed to? I guess he's making fun of you, Kim. You got anything you want to say?
Yeah, they're making fun of you, Kim.
I mean, being young is great.
She's so cute.
Good comeback. Good comeback.
Shout out Myron, big fan. Let's go. W Feddit, Don DeMarco.
Hey man, appreciate that, my friend.
Don DeMarco.
What else? Oh, DEA's in the house too?
Yeah, this message is for Kim. We're hiring undercover agents if you're available.
She's from Colombia too. She can help y'all. And you're from Medellin, right?
I am from it.
Yeah. So yeah, she can help y'all out, man. What else do we got here?
From them boys.
With the CIA symbol.
Can you play that thing? Okay.
Hello, Amru. Please watch your mouth. Thank you.
They put my government there. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Don't worry. I know y'all are sad because I'm bringing Ryan Dawson on the pod and exposing you guys, but it's fine. Who else do we got?
Shout out to you and the ladies for this one, Myron. As a born and raised
Chicagoan,
I am super stoked for the Chicago outfit breakdown.
Yes. We might actually film that one tonight because the Colombo crime family, we're gonna have Michael Francis on Wednesday, guys. So
yes, Don DeMarco.
Yeah. I wanna definitely make sure that I have For some of you guys that are wondering, Michael Francis was a capo for the Colombo crime family. He was making millions of dollars a week, basically doing all types of shit. But one of the main things he's famous for is he was basically scamming gas stations and not paying taxes. Well, he's scamming the government through using gas stations and not paying the government. So he made millions of dollars doing this. I think something like 1 week he made like $8 million a week doing this crap back in like the 70s or 80s in New York. So we're going to talk with him on Wednesday, and then we'll cover the Colombo crime family for the week after on Feddit. But this one is probably going to be the outfit, which is Al Capone and the Chicago guys, because they didn't call the mafia in Chicago the mafia or La Cosa Nostra. They called them the outfit. What else do we got, Kim?
Have Angie send shout out to my friends in Lomas.
What is Lomas Turbas? What is that?
It's a joke, Myron. It's just playing with you. So it says shout out to like Lomas Turbas. Like if you unite it together, it says like you masturbate.
Oh, okay, all right, interesting.
It's so funny.
Okay, so he's playing. It's a word on a play on words in Spanish. Okay, what else do we got?
How long did it take you to become a federal agent?
It took me a while. So how I got on the job, guys, is I know we got a lot of new viewers. So I was an intern first. I got an internship in 2010 through my school in Northeastern University. I was working in the Boston field office. And then in 2013, after I graduated college, I got my degree. They converted me from intern to special agent. And then I went to the academy. So I kind of got my shoe in being an intern first. But I did that for 3 years. Learned the job like as an intern, right? So by the time I transitioned over to an agent, I already knew how to use the databases. I already knew how investigations work because I was basically shadowing an agent when I was an intern, and it made the whole process streamlined. So it made it a lot easier. I was able to hit the ground running immediately when I got in the field in Laredo. What else?
W2 out of 4 wife.
Okay, appreciate that, sir. And then we got here. That's Jacobus. What does he say?
This says new producer, but they still have trouble speaking English.
Facts, bro. Hey, man, cheap labor, bro.
That's me.
You got it. Colombia and Venezuela. It's cheap labor, man. What else we got here?
Myron, you're not safe either. You built like an oversized eagle.
An oversized what?
Eagle.
Ego?
You build like
eagle,
like an
like-
oversized.
like an
eagle.
oversized eagle. Okay, he's making fun of me. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, sir. And I think are we good now? Caught up? Or?
We have a couple more. We have
Okay.
3 more.
So
appreciate your
I'll
hard-
read these 3 that came in, and then we'll get into the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Kim.
Appreciate your hard work. Keep up the grind.
All right. What else?
When are y'all doing the Willie picked on? Think they might have a few Fed victims that belong at the BBQ.
What? Kim.
When are y'all gonna do the Willie picked on? Think they might have a few.
They think he might have few Fed victims to
Too
people
long
at
at
a
the
barbecue.
No, I don't know who that guy Willie picked. I mean, did you write that name down, Angie? Is that someone that we have in the queue to do?
No.
Willie Picton?
I have this like Robert Picton, I think.
Okay, that's what I think he means is the
Yeah.
the Canadian dude. All right, what else do we got?
As an agent, how do you feel about the YouTube catchers?
Predatory cat. I mean, you can't really do anything to them because, like, unless you get the police involved, like, they're not gonna face any charges. You know, you embarrass them and make them look crazy, but I mean, you know, you might want to go ahead and get the police involved from the beginning, right? Everything isn't about clout necessarily,
Yeah.
because a lot of them like do this shit and they don't like get the police involved. So it's like, oh, fantastic! Now you can't prosecute them because you didn't gather evidence properly. And now, worse than that, now they're going to be way more suspicious and not want to commit any crimes, right? So. So yeah, it kind of sucks a bit because if it's real, then that person is basically not going to do that shit or lay low now. What else? Anything else?
We have a couple more, but they came in after.
Okay, cool. So guys, so we're going to go ahead and get into today's topic. Today we're going to be covering the Golden State Killer, aka Joseph James DeAngelo. This is a crazy story how he got caught, but this is him right here, guys. Joseph James DeAngelo, from Wikipedia. So Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., born November 8th, 1945, is an American serial killer, rapist, burglar, and former police officer who committed at least 13 murders, 51 rapes, and 120 burglaries across California between 1974 and 1986. He is responsible for at least 3 separate crime sprees throughout the state, each of which spawned a different nickname in the press before it became evident that they were committed by the same person. For all you guys that love Richard Ramires, and we had covered him as well, aka the Night Stalker, this dude, the Golden State Killer, aka Joseph James DeAngelo, he was the original Night Stalker, guys. This guy was doing this crap back before Richard Ramires was running around, and this guy had California, especially, you know, the whole greater California area, all the way from south to Northern California, in fear, man. People were buying new locks. People were getting dogs. People were buying guns. Like when this guy was going wild during this era, gun sales soared. Right. So that just goes to show you guys the fear and how he was able to terrorize the community. Because back then, guys, law enforcement wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. And keep it 1,000 with y'all. Back in the 70s, America was a very dangerous place, man. If you look at all the top serial killers, they pretty much all existed between the 60s all the way up until the 1990s, until DNA testing became a very important factor in determining who these individuals were. But these guys would basically be able to get away for decades, and they didn't end up catching him until 30, 40 years later, which we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But let's switch over to the next tab. So I got a documentary here that we're going to play for you guys. Yes, I'm Angie. Yeah, it's yeah.
Well, I was going to say that let me put myself here.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that this guy actually had like a bunch of names. Like he got like East areas is area Rapist, which was also like a mix. He also got a name called Irons, which is like a mix between East area Rapist and original Night Stalker.
Iran. Yep.
Iran, and he had like a bunch of names. Like the last one was like the Golden State Killer that we'll see later on why he was named like that.
He also had the Diamond Knot Killer, the Golden State Killer, Original Night Stalker, East Bay Killer, East Area Rapist. He had like over 10 different names.
Yeah, he had one that was like Ransacker, Visalia, Ransacker, some crap like that.
Ransacker.
Yeah, like this dude was doing all kinds of crazy shit, and he terrorized the community for so long, and they weren't able to. The reason why, you guys are probably wondering, well, yo, Myron, hold on, whoa. Why does this dude have so many nicknames? The reason why, guys, is because he committed crimes. Let's actually look at his crime map real quick. It's the second tab, Angie.
Yeah, I know.
So if you guys look at this crime map here, right? You look, he was committing crimes in San Francisco, San Joaquin, Stanislao, Yolo, Contra Costa, Santa Clara. So he was committing crimes in a wide area. So they weren't able to link the crimes back to him, guys. And go ahead and enlarge it real quick on the screen for them, Angie, so they can see. So they weren't able to figure out who the hell this guy was, and they thought it was different individuals committing these crimes. So it wasn't until they started, looking at the crime scenes, collecting DNA, and looking at different MOs, right, modus operandi, that they were able to say, oh, this East Area Rapist, this Golden State Killer, this Ransacker, whatever it is, it's the same dude. Right, because he was using certain tactics and tricks, which you guys are going to see here in a bit, involving dishes and other cutlery in the house, that made him very distinct and stand out. And the reason why he was able to get away is because the guy did his homework and did a lot of recon before he would actually break into the houses. But these are the areas that this guy had an absolute terror from 1976 to 1986. Yep. Okay, so let's go ahead into the documentary, Angie, which I think should be the next tab there.
Yep.
Here, just pause it. Just hit pause on it because you hit play on it.
Oh, I hit play?
Yeah, yeah. Pause. Okay, cool. And that comes from the FBI. All right, so this comes from True Crime Mysteries here, guys. Shout out to them. We're going to play this documentary, and then we're going to be, stopping it as needed. And this is going to give a pretty damn good overview on this case. So, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead.
Johnson said her assailant may be the East Area Rapist, who is suspected of committing at least 4 other rapes in the same area. Or he may be an imitator. Police are urging everyone in the Concord, Walnut Creek, and San Ramon area to be on the lookout and to report strangers in their neighborhoods who seem to be just hanging around or displaying any other suspicious behavior.
Fast forward a bit, Angie, just to hit the right tab a few times. There you go. And shout out to True Crime Mysteries. This YouTube channel is pretty
welcome
good. Keep going.
Today, I've done a new voiceover and a completely redone video, and I put it all together as one video into it. The Golden State Killer went by many names. It took a lot of years to discover he was the same culprit in multiple crime sprees. His crimes dubbed him the East Area Rapist, the Diamond Knot Killer, the Visalia Ransacker, and the Original Night Stalker. He was finally coined the Golden State Killer by crime author Michelle McNamara. Let's start from the beginning.
Pause. That's the wife of a famous actor. I forget his first name, but it's something.
Peyton Oswald.
What is it?
Peyton Oswald.
Bam. That's Peyton Oswald's wife right there, Michelle Nakamura. And she did a whole bunch of research into this case. She's what you would call like an armchair detective, or they call them sleuths, where when a crime goes unsolved, like the community kind of gets in and tries to identify who the individual is. If you guys want to really go down the rabbit hole of sleuths, the Zodiac Killer by far has the most sleuths I've ever seen in my life. There's entire forums dedicated to trying to identify who the Zodiac Killer is, which if you guys want, you go back on my Feddit channel and watch that one. That was actually one of my favorite breakdowns. It's like a 4-hour breakdown, but we go into the Zodiac killer, the crimes, all the suspects, each murder, the evidence in it. It was really good. One of my favorite episodes that I did. But this guy, the Golden State Killer, also definitely got a lot of people interested in trying to figure out who the hell he was. And as you guys can see, all those different names, people didn't know it was the same guy at the time. Because back in the 70s, right? Another thing, too, I want to note for you guys. In the 70s, guys, the computers weren't a streamlined thing, and national databases weren't a streamlined thing, and police agencies didn't necessarily work with each other. Nowadays, right, we have streamlined databases, right, like NCIC, NLITS, etc., which NCIC stands for the National Crime Information Center, and then NLITS, if I'm not mistaken, stands for the National Law Enforcement Telecommunication System, which basically what these systems do is it allows you to put people's criminal histories and records and BOLOs and warrants and all that stuff in one central database that all the law enforcement agencies in the United States have access to include the Canadian law enforcement agencies, by the way, and it allows law enforcement agencies to work together and communicate, and it has the contact information of investigating agents, detectives, officers, whatever it may be. And this didn't exist, guys, back in the 70s, which again is another big contributor as to why a lot of these crooks were able to go free and not get caught, because law enforcement agencies weren't sophisticated enough to work together, to piece together, evidence from this crime scene to another crime scene. Imagine you're a detective out and, Stockton, California, and then you got another detective in, Sacramento, and then another one in San Fran, etc., and you have a bunch of crimes going on. Well, you might not know to reach out to the neighboring town and be like, hey, I got this, and this is the evidence that I got. No one was sharing information. And if you don't share information, bad things typically happen in the law enforcement world. I mean, look at 9/11, right?
I will argue, Myron, that that most of these crimes weren't unsolved because the police wouldn't work together. Like, I don't know what you think about
that and the DNA, I think, are the two biggest things.
Yeah.
That kept
because serial killers, like the peak of serial killers in the US was like in the 70s. Like that was like the decade where you'll see like the most numbers of serial killers in this country.
Yes. All the most prominent ones operated there in the 70s, whether it was Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, the Zodiac killer, who else? Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer.
Yep.
Like most of the top serial killers were all operating in the 70s. What was that?
Ed Kemper, this other guy that will like
the torso killer. We got to do him too, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, let's go back to the documentary.
All right.
Don't forget to like the video, guys. Here, you can enlarge it on there and for them.
Visalia was a community first hit by who would become the Golden State Killer, but at the time of these crimes, he was known as the Visalia Ransacker. He honed his skills here. It was where he took his first life, and investigators knew he was building to something more violent even early on. Visalia would be plagued with a violent prowler for nearly 2 years before he disappeared. In 1974, reports began coming in about a prowler in the small farm town of Visalia, California. There had been multiple sightings of a prowler in the neighborhood of South Desmarais Street. A few weeks later, a house would be ransacked. Little was stolen, mostly just keepsakes such as piggy banks, class rings, engraved jewelry, personalized items, or small collections like coins or stamps. A distinguishing calling card was that he would steal one earring from a pair or a single cufflink. The items he took were sometimes found nearby or in the next home he ransacked.
All right, so you guys are probably wondering, like, wait, why is he taking like random ass items and maybe one piece of like a 2 set of earrings or whatever? A lot of times, guys, these serial killers, they want to be able to relive their crimes, and they really enjoy and get a rush out of doing it. So they want to go ahead and take a trophy back from their crimes. And you're going to see in this situation, the Golden State Killer originally started as like, just a rapist / thief. But you're going to see that his crimes start to become more and more and more severe and more violent, because as you commit these crimes more and more, the need for that, I guess that rush, you need to do crazier and crazier shit to get that next level of rush. It's kind of like a drug addict. So you guys are going to see him progress in violence throughout this documentary. Let's get back to it.
Also stole any weapons in the house, firearms, ammunition, knives, tools, and even a billy club. This immediately led investigators to believe he was already gravitating towards violence. Occasionally, he would only steal more practical items that seemed to be used for his personal use, such as packages of shirts, glue, canned foods, dishes, and a stereo. He would often leave higher valued items, including money left in plain sight. He would hit homes where homeowners were out of town.
And this proves right here, guys. You don't got to show me, Angie. It's fine. This proves right here, guys, the fact that he would leave money where it is and not take high valuable items. He was stealing, not necessarily to get monetary benefit, right? Maybe that, though that might be a small part of it. What he was mostly stealing for was for the thrill and to have a souvenir / trophy from each of his escapades.
Yeah, I will say that he was like a kleptomaniac.
Yes. And that you guys are going to see that him being a klepto actually led to him getting fired as a police officer later on.
Yeah.
Kim, you got anything?
I just found it crazy that he would also take like coupons for like local grocery stores. Like he wasn't interested in taking anything valuable.
Yeah, like that's weird shit, right? Like, let me go ahead. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get off on the fact that these guys live right next to a fucking Stop and Shop or some shit. Like, what the hell, bro? Like, you want to get a discount on some mangoes? Like, what's going on here? So yeah, he would take weird shit, bro. And also, this guy would linger around and eat the food too, which is also weird.
Yeah, he will commit his crimes and then he will go around into the kitchen and eat something.
Yeah. You know who else used to do that? You guys should check out the episode. I covered the railroad killer who actually ended up making it to the FBI top 10. I think his name was it Richard something Ramires. But I have an episode on the railroad killer, guys. Go watch that one as well. He also used to have a weird habit where he would break into the house, kill the individual, get their food, sit there and stare at their driver's licenses while he was eating the food and they were dead in the other room.
Weird.
Very strange individuals, bro. Like, what the? What? But anyway. What the fuck? Anyway, let's keep going.
Town. He would lurk in the same neighborhood for weeks before deciding on a target. Investigators noticed that the house would have identical shoe prints. The shoe prints would be under windows, paced around the backyard, and often establish routes. This patient and calm attitude was a sign that he did this to satisfy a different craving. He would often enter the home through an unlocked window. Sometimes it would be slipping a lock or forcing open a sliding glass door.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat right now. You guys are right. Richard Ramirez used to do it too, but this other guy talked about the railroad killer. He he would literally kill them, get their driver's license, stare at it while he was eating the food in the house, and then he would leave. And he would eat half the food. He made a purpose, made it like
on purpose.
On purpose, he would eat half the food and leave it there. And he would do that to kind of show like his dominance and like, hey, this is my mark. Like, I came here, killed them, ate their food, and I got their driver's licenses here. So he had a very strange fetish with looking at his victims. So yeah,
weird.
Drivers, yeah, I don't know. Maybe got turned on by driver's licenses. I don't know why, because the Texas driver's license is not that attractive. It's weird looking. But anyway, let's keep going.
As he gained entrance into a home, he would create multiple escape points by opening additional windows, pulling off screens. This was so he could have an easy exit if someone entered the house unexpectedly. And it also made hearing outside noises easier. Cars passing, people walking, dogs barking, all indicators that he had been spotted. Once he was comfortable in the home, he would then begin ransacking. He would open every drawer, cupboard, and closet. He would collect up women's undergarments, arranging them in particular ways and in a deliberate fashion. He would take photographs out of frames and stimulate himself using lotion found in the home.
Pause.
Or sometimes
my man would break in and rub one out in there like, what is going on? You know, which goes to speak to his perversion, obviously. But yeah, I mean, a lot, like I said, guys, like these, and here's the thing, they leave their DNA at the scenes. Now you guys are probably wondering, like, what an idiot. Why would you, whack off at the scene and leave DNA evidence? Again, guys, back then in the 70s, it wasn't a thing, man. So luckily the investigators were able to go ahead and collect this stuff, preserve it, and then use it years down the road, which you guys are going to see here later on. But yeah, this is very common. Another person that used to do something similar to this was BTK, who I also covered, aka Dennis Rader. He also used to slug his meat at the crime scenes as well. So go ahead and check that one out as well if you guys want to see another strange individual. Slug his meat. Yeah, we're on YouTube, so I'm trying to keep it somewhat clean. Slug his meat. All right, let's get back to it.
Okay. Oh shit.
he would bring his own, additionally smearing lotion all around the house. He would often cause minimal damage to the homes, knocking over bookshelves or pouring wine onto the carpet, or dumping liquids onto furniture. He would often ransack multiple homes in one night, and on November 30th, 1974, there were 12 separate incidences connected to the Visalia ransacker. Although he was rarely seen, there were a few witnesses. He was described as a Caucasian man with a fair complexion and light hair. A young adult, average height, stocky build, and a cleft in his chin. He was described as physically fit, as he was able to scale walls, with witnesses saying he had strong arms and a firm grip. The most common way people described him was that he had a plump baby face and a thick neck. He was seen wearing jeans and tennis shoes, which matched the shoe prints at the scenes, and his shoe size was a men's 9. By 1995, his crimes began to escalate. In the early morning hours.
And also another thing also that they noticed about this guy, guys, when they looked at the footprints were very firm into the ground, which means he would stand in one location for a long period of time and stalk his prey and go in at the best time. This is why he was able to do this for so long and not get caught, is because he really studied his people and he wouldn't move. And he was really good at being silent and quiet and just being patient. So when they did find footprints and markings, they were almost always like perfectly indented, because he would sit still for hours and watch the people before he broke in.
He would study the house and everything.
Yep.
He would study the house, so he like had a perfect like escape plan and everything.
Yep. And as you guys saw before, he would open doors and windows as he was going through the home to create multiple escape routes. It was actually pretty smart, because Richard Ramires didn't do that type of shit. Richard Ramires was a little bit dumber. He would just go in and just shoot and kill. Like, he didn't give a shit about this stuff. Yeah. But obviously for him, it didn't start out with him killing people. It started out with him ransacking and then, doing some weird sexual stuff. But as it became more and more violent, he started to take on that other persona. Let's get back to it.
I will say that also that this guy was very weird, because he will be clever to some things and also very stupid to others, because he will leave like she said, he will leave like little things like shoelaces, or like he will put like glasses or bottles on door frames and against the door, so he will know if someone is coming or anything, or he will prepare like the house before the attack. But also he will be very stupid to go like on bicycles. Like, I mean, again, that's very clever to avoid the street, like main streets, so he wouldn't get chased. But whenever he go like, well, you'll see it later on, whenever he will get caught or anything, he will just be like very like, I don't know, very, very like an idiotic behavior. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he was very stupid.
He would set up all these booby traps in the house, right, so that he can be alerted if anyone is walking around, like, setting stuff up by the doors or whatever. Yeah. Because he wasn't really good once he was confronted a lot of the times, which you guys are going to see here. He'd like run around or streak or whatever. So he used to set all these things up in place because he wasn't really good with the confrontation. He obviously becomes better and better at it as he does this more and more. But he set all these booby traps up to kind of be able to alert himself should someone come near him, etc. It was actually pretty smart that he would do that. Yeah. All right, let's get back to it.
Hours on September 11th, 1975, a man entered the home of the Snelling family while they slept. Claude Snelling woke, hearing strange noises. He was already on edge, having confronted a prowler peeping into his daughter's window 7 months prior. He opened the door to his bedroom and saw the sliding glass doors leading to the backyard were wide open. He ran to the door and saw a man attempting to kidnap his daughter. He shouted and ran at the man but was shot twice. The gun pierced the silence in the early morning. The assailant fled the scene, escaping in a wooded area behind the home. Claude died of his wounds, and his daughter would later undergo hypnotherapy to try and remember as many details about the man who had killed her father. She remembered that the night before...
That's got to be every dad's worst nightmare. You like see your daughter getting kidnapped by some dude in a ski mask late at night, after a string of burglaries and break-ins. That's literally got to be the worst thing ever. But dad for trying to defend his daughter and dying in the process. But yeah, rest in peace to him. Let's get back to it.
She had heard a noise outside her window. She looked, but it was too dark to see anything. She remembered being woken up to an immense pressure on top of her body. It was a man lying on top of her. The man had a hand over her nose and mouth. When she struggled to breathe, the man growled, "Don't scream, or I'll stab you." She stayed quiet, and he removed his hand from her face and growled again, "You're coming with me." It was then that he stood up and showed her he had a gun. He kept a hold of her arm, and when she asked him, "Why are you doing this? Where are you taking me?" But he didn't answer. She began crying and resisting to slow him down, knowing nothing good could happen if she left the house. He
Pause real quick.
redirected from threatening her to threaten.
This is something he also used to do, guys, which was very strange. He would change his voice when he would talk to his victims in a very weird, sinister type tone, okay? And actually, Kim, do me a favor. Google phone call from Golden State Killer, and I'll play you guys an excerpt of how he would speak to his victims. He is very, very strange, bizarre. Let's get back into it, though, while Kim pulls that up, Angie. Yep, back to the documentary. Yep.
Her family. She noticed he had left the back door open already. She dug her heels into the carpet as hard as she could, which made a loud noise. This was what woke her father. The man had started dragging her out of the house. She was already a dozen feet into the yard and through a gate that had been left open, and under the car park when she heard her father's voice yell at the man holding her arm. She made eye contact with her father, and for a moment everyone stopped. Her father lunged and the attacker shot, and then was gone. It had all happened so fast. The weapon Claude was murdered with was determined to be a Morocco revolver that had been stolen by the Visalia ransacker just 2 weeks before the murder. The Snells neighborhood had also had multiple incidences of evidence of the Prowler, and vehicles being broken into before the shooting. After the Snelling murder, nighttime stakeouts began in the neighborhoods the Prowler had previously been sighted in, but the ransackings continued. On December 10, 1975, Officer Bill McGowan on stakeout saw a shadowy figure appear near a garage where he'd been hiding during the stakeouts. The garage had purposely been left open by the police. There was another officer inside the garage. He watched as the figure crept around the hedge and peeked into the garage. The Prowler made his way along the home towards the backyard. Officer McGowan quietly followed him and observed the Prowler toying with the lock on the back gate. That was when he clicked the flashlight on the Prowler's head. The Prowler shrieked in a high-pitched, unnatural voice.
Pause.
Oh my God. He had been wearing a ski.
So this dude went from, on that sinister type vibe, telling girls, oh, come with me. The dude basically turns into fucking Batman. And then as soon as the police catch him, he goes, oh my God. And he shrieks and he starts acting like a girl. So, the thing with this guy is he kind of was a pussy, guys. Like, he would set up all these booby traps and set himself up with all these escape routes because he really didn't want confrontation like that. He wanted to kind of get in, steal, grape to whatever he wanted to do, maybe whack off to some lotion and then leave. But if he got confronted, he wasn't prepared for it. Do you got that clip, Kim?
I do.
So you know how to do it, right?
Yep.
Right there. So we're going to go ahead and play a portion, guys, so you hear what this guy's voice sounds like real fast. So he actually went ahead and called one of his victims after the fact, and this is what he said. Oh, you know what? Oh, my bad. Pause it. You got to send that tab to Angie. Don't worry. I'll do that because they're not going to hear it from that computer.
Okay.
That's my bad. Go back to the documentary, Angie. You were trying to say something, by the way?
No. Oh, well, yeah, I was going to say that when he killed that man.
Mm-hmm. Switch the camera to you.
Yeah. When he killed that man, that was actually like his first reported victim. That he, like, his first murder, the father of the girl.
Yes, that was his first murder. Yep.
So he basically he hated confrontation. Like, he was scared of confrontation. So when this guy like came after him, he just like ran off on his bicycle and just like shoot him from the bicycle, and he killed him and let the girl go. So it was just like that. This is what I mean when
he wasn't planning for that.
Yeah.
In this situation,
exactly.
But that's what started the trend. And they always say with like murder, the more times you kill, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
So all right, let's keep going here with the doc. And guys, don't forget we got almost 2,000 y'all in here, man. So do me a favor.
Stalking.
Like the video. Yeah, like the video, guys. We almost got 2K y'all in here.
Up onto his head. Officer McGowan got a good look at the suspect and yelled, "Police officer, hold it right there." The suspect vaulted over the gate and took off running in a zigzag pattern through the yard. Officer McGowan ordered the suspect to stop and put his hands out, but when he kept running, he pursued. The suspect continued to scream, "Oh my God, please don't hurt me," in a bizarre, high-pitched and oddly feminine voice. The officer fired a warning shot, which also alerted his partner. The suspect hopped over fences with an intimate knowledge of the area. The man stopped running only 5 feet from the officer and put a hand up, his back facing the officer. His other hand began rummaging through his coat pockets. Before the officer could react, the suspect spun around and fired a shot. Officer McGowan fell, and the suspect ran off.
I fell down. The impact knocked me back, and he continued to run, throwing some items apparently taken in the burglary in the area.
He obviously didn't take the full run of that bullet that he fired. What happened there?
Yeah, the projectile went into the end of my flashlight, which is a Cal light, the big metal one, and went through several batteries and lodged in the back portion of the flashlight.
The Visalia ransacker eluded police that night. Despite the entire police force tracking his prints and using police dogs, McGowan was able to add to the description that he drew his weapon and shot with his left hand. He worked with the sketch artist to come up with these images. Officer McGowan served as the member of the Visalia Police Department for many years, where he retired after a long and honorable career. Even in his retirement, he continued to help the Visalia ransacking case. And after he passed, his son...
And guys, I want you guys to kind of not gloss over the fact. Think about that. He got caught by the police, right? Red-handed, and he was able to evade capture. That's testament to how much homework this guy would do as far as finding escape routes and setting himself up to not be caught after the fact. He was able to lose a police officer that's extremely familiar with the area and get away and not be caught. So this guy definitely, crossed his T's and dotted his I's as far as like creating escape routes and setting himself up to win so that he could go ahead and get away from the crime scene. And a big part of that is because he was a police officer, so he kind of knew police procedure. So he would park his car blocks away and have the car set up so that after he committed his crime, he'd be able to run to where the car was. And that car typically was going to be outside of the perimeter where the police would secure. So he could just get back in his car, act like nothing happened, and drive like a regular citizen and no one be none the wiser. So he used to set himself up for a victory when it came to these situations. And that comes from him doing his homework.
What he would do is he would make sure that the house he was going into, there was like a park nearby, and he would ride the bike to the park where he would leave his car at, and that's how he would escape. And that's how he basically escaped from the police officer that time that he was caught. And he was also the one investigating his own cases due to him working for the police.
Well, it will be a park, or it will be like a school, or it will be like an open space. Usually it will be like he will look for open spaces near the house victim, the victim's house. So he will like use it as an escape. I don't know, like
escape route.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would really study the area, the houses, and everything to not get caught.
Yep.
All right. So okay, let's I was able to pull up that video. Angie, I got it there for you on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Play that video real quick of him with that threatening phone call. There you go. This is it right here, guys. So we'll play. Hit dismiss there. This account isn't signed in on this one.
Skip to 52.
Pause. Skip to move it to where?
52. That's kind of where I think it starts.
And I think he made this phone call in 1977. He called one of his victims and terrorized them. So this kind of gives you guys an idea of like how this guy would behave, like sound when he talks to his victims. Go ahead, play.
Yeah, this guy had nothing to do with his life, honestly.
Police Department Sheriff speaking. You're never gonna catch me, hysteria rapist, you dumb fuckers. I'm gonna fuck again tonight. Be careful.
Hello?
Yeah, Ray there?
Honey?
Is Ray there?
I'm sorry, Mr. Wrong.
So the victim identified the voice. So pause. After 20 seconds of heavy breathing, the caller whispered, "Gonna kill you, gonna kill you, gonna kill you, bitch, fucking whore." Okay, this guy definitely needs to read my book, Why Women Deserve Less, because he's mad as hell. What the fuck is going on? Needs to get some RP awareness. Play.
Hello? Hello?
This is creepy.
Pause. Yeah, so 4 days later, a man claiming to be the GSK or Golden State Killer called the contact counseling service and said, I have a problem. I need help because I don't want to do this anymore. After a short conversation, the caller hung up. But you guys kind of get the idea that this dude was on some fucking demon time right here, calling one of the victims back and, you know, making all these threatening messages. He was definitely a weirdo on that one. You have something, Kim?
He would also call the police and tell him that, like, hey, I'm going to attack tonight. I'm going to be at this location and everything. And there was one case where he was actually at the location. And even then, they weren't able to catch him because the police that was on duty that night just thought it was a joke and didn't pay attention to him. He, like, rode his bike right in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. This guy was on some weirdo time. Let's go back to the documentary. But I just wanted you guys to kind of hear his voice and get an insight as to what type of individual this is and how he really got off on creating fear with his victims.
And went on to continue his work. After this incident, the ransacking in Visalia stopped. The investigation for the Visalia ransacker remained to be the most expensive in Visalia's history. His crimes in this era of his life amounted to 1 murder, 1 attempted kidnapping, 1 attempted murder, and over 100 burglaries. He was active as early as 1973, and police are now trying to connect him to burglaries in Exeter, California, which had begun in 1968, and a spree of robberies dubbed the Cordova Cat Burglar. At the moment, however, there is no evidence linking him to these, but the MO is the same as the...
And Exeter, just so you guys know, is the police department that this guy used to pretty much work for. So the MO was the same, and they think that it was him that was committing these burglaries as well. So this dude might have been committing crimes since the freaking 60s, guys. Let's keep going.
Visalia ransacker, which is why it is without a doubt all crimes were committed by the same man.
All right, pause. So now we're going to get into the ear era, the East Area Rapist era. Before we do that, I'll read some of these chats real quick so they don't pile up too much. And shout out to Angie, by the way, in the 1s and 2s. She's not doing too bad for her first time. Kim, can we pull some of these up? All right, go ahead. You got it. Read them.
Dipset in the house. We shut the block down for Feddit tonight.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Killer Cam in the house. All right. Appreciate that.
Myron, thanks for saving my life with your knowledge.
And that comes from, read their name too, Kim, before you read the chat.
G Mindset.
Okay. Shout out to you, my friend. Thank you.
New Britain Police Department says, never mind, you need to fund Kim with Hooked on
Phonics.
I try to say you can't read. Nope. Stupid.
I'm also a virgin who didn't take a shower by
Ty.
Or TY. Cree 17 says, I see Myron has both spouses present. LOL, good evening, y'all.
Appreciate that. These guys, man.
Really excited for this one, Myron, and it's pronounced Stan is
It's Stanislaus.
County.
Stanislaus County.
From Cali 209.
Okay. Thank you, my friend. Shout out to California.
Rob says, if y'all ever need help with research on these serial killers shows, let me know and I will help for free.
Okay. Appreciate that, my friend.
You can yeah, hang on. You guys can, like, if you want to help, you can, guys, like, hit me up on Feddit at Feddit.1811 on Instagram, because I'll be reading you all. I have a prosecutor from Texas that I told him that he can help me from the cases from Texas. So yeah, hit me up on Feddit.1811. So if you want to help with the cases.
Yes, Angie manages that for me. So if you guys want to go ahead and get any type of Feddit information, go ahead and reach out. And she's pretty good about checking back and responding to DMs.
Yep.
All right, what else do we got here, Kim?
Bloody Sugar 17 says we need a special FNF with Angie instead of Chris.
Yeah, man. Y'all are
Ken
hilarious.
Rose says thumbs up.
Wait, you hit that sound effect, Angie?
Yeah.
Okay, good job. She's over here already figuring it out. What the fuck? All right.
I'm stealing Chris up.
Yeah, you're still using Chris's sound effects. Okay. What else, Kim?
Ken Rose says thumbs up.
Thank you.
$5. Thank you.
$5. Where'd the mouse go?
This one.
Myron, I have a suggestion. Dedicate one episode or a few exclusively for detailed stories from HSI. Thanks for a great content as always. Also, Angie, get the fuck out of Myron's.
That's from Dicot. I see y'all, man. I'm safe here in the United States, though. I'm not in Romania. That's a police agency for Romania.
I was kind of wondering.
Yeah.
I know, Myron. Sometimes you'll be like commenting on your cases and stuff, but I have received like a lot of people requesting your cases, like your
ones that I actually did.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you can do it, like they won't like do something to you.
There's a few that I could talk about. I think I've covered like two. There's one big one that was like literally one of the biggest cases in the country that I had that I want to talk to y'all about, but I want to make sure that it's kind of like almost done because it's actually I think it still might be active to this day. But I was the one that started, and it's actually hit the press as well. But yeah, I'll be covering more of my cases, guys. And I might even bring in some of my old colleagues and put
cool.
and have them talk about how we did it. They probably won't be on camera, guys, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I might bring some of my old colleagues and we could talk about the case. And I think you guys would really enjoy that. You guys can hear the trials and tribulations that we went through, man, because it was tough. Like a lot of these gray hairs that I got is from that job, which actually shout out to Angie as well, helping me with that. And Kim, they helped me with my white hairs. They helped me fucking dye this shit. So yeah,
you need to show it off.
Yeah, now look nice and young.
You put it on your hoodie.
You put on the hoodie. You're covering our work, man.
What do you mean? Am I covering artwork? Oh yeah. It's cold in here, man. It's cold in here. But yeah, shout out to them because they actually helped me with my beard and shit like that, dyeing it. So yeah.
It was a hard work, you guys.
Yeah, it was tough.
It was a teamwork.
They enjoyed it a little too much though. All right, what else do we got here?
Elite says we need an episode with other two wives. Angie and Kim versus group 2.
Who's group 2?
Well, you'll know.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. Okay, I see what y'all did there. All right, let's just move on. Continue. What else?
Jeffrey Dahmer says Kim looking tasty.
Yo, you guys got no chill, man. You guys make these names up and shit. I'll never forget someone one time I was doing the Jeffrey Dahmer breakdown, which you guys should go check that one out. It was actually funny. Someone put in the super chat, you know that song by Ice Spice, Munch.
Netflix and
She's like, oh, you thought I was feeling you, nigga? You lunch. I was like, what the fuck? Jeffrey Dahmer. It's the Jeffrey Dahmer remix. All right, what else we got?
Myron, thanks for saying all the things that we men don't talk about. Appreciate all the effort to make them wake up.
No, thank you, my friend. And guys, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I know we're doing a little new setup here where I'm talking and they're behind the scenes helping out. But shout out to them and like the video, subscribe to the channel. I think we got almost 2K y'all watching. We also got Twitch up right now, guys, because we're gonna play a part of another documentary that might get hit with the copyright. And y'all already know what time it is, so I have the Twitch as a backup.
Yeah, you guys follow at Feddit.1811, please.
Yes, on Instagram.
Yes.
And send your request
social
there.
media.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we got here?
Cali
Angie?
209 says people think Cali is only big cities. A lot of small towns, dairy farms, and almond orchards around here.
Yeah. There's a lot of rural parts of California for sure. It's not just all smoke and mirrors like LA. Good? Caught up?
Yeah, we're caught
All right,
up.
let's get back to the documentary. So now we're going to go into the East Area Rapist era, guys. So this is where stuff starts to get a little bit more violent.
A teenage girl was raped today in her home in Contra Costa County, and though officials are not saying it was the work of the East Area Rapist, they do say the crime was committed in his style. Betty Ann Bruno has more.
Law enforcement officials from every police agency in Contra Costa County tonight are looking for the man who raped a 13-year-old
Pause.
Walnut Creek girl early this morning.
Y'all see that 1970s drip, man? Look at them. They're styling on all y'all, man. That 1970s swag. Let's go back. Let's continue.
The young victim was attacked in her Rancho San Miguel home. Police say she described her attacker as a white male, 6 feet tall, weighing 185 pounds.
Was wearing some type of a mask or a hood. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He apparently was in the residence for approximately 45 minutes. We don't know how he gained entry. She was bound. He raped her. He didn't bother anyone else in the residence, and the young girl's father and older sister were inside the residence at the time, were unaware of the attack.
Johnson said her assailant may be the East Area Rapist, who is suspected of committing at least 4 other rapes in the same area, or he may be an imitator. Police are urging everyone in the Concord, Walnut Creek, and San Ramon area to be on the lookout and to report strangers in their neighborhoods who seem to be just hanging around or displaying any other suspicious behavior. This is Betty Ann Bruno in Walnut Creek for the 10 o'clock news.
Rancho Cordova, a suburb in the Sacramento area in the early 1970s, was considered a sleepy and safe residential area to raise a family. In the 1950s, Aerojet had opened its headquarters there, which was causing a suburban housing boom, turning the open vineyards into neatly organized neighborhoods of single-story homes. However, it wasn't a perfect community. Memories from the 70s were littered with both positive hot summer days spent by the river and those that weren't so fondly looked upon, homelessness and drugs. By far, though, one needs only mention a name to stop folks who grew up in that area in the 70s dead in their tracks: the East Area Rapist, or EAR. This was the first community he plagued with escalating violence. It meant something to him, as even when they thought he had moved on to a different area, he would keep coming back. Many who investigated had believed that this was where he lived, his home. His first attack was on June 18, 1976. A call came into the Rancho Cordova Police Department.
I mean, this is kind of theory here, but I suspect another reason why he changes MO, guys, in this era is that the police were starting to catch on to him. He used to work in law enforcement himself, so he said, okay, let me go ahead and change how I commit my crimes. I mean, I might still burglarize here and there and still be able to keep my mementos and be able to get my rocks off, but now I'm going to be more violent, so they might not be able to link me to the past crimes that I was committing in the other area. And that's why they had all these different nicknames. And for him, he probably looked at it like, oh, now they got a new nickname. They don't know I'm the same guy in all these situations. So guys like this, serial killers like this, guys, a lot of times they're narcissists and they keep up with the news, and they'll go ahead and adapt the way they commit their crimes to how much press coverage they're getting so that they can kind of avoid detection. And back in the 70s, guys, remember, there was no social media. The only way people got their news was through newspapers and, conventional mainstream media that we all laugh at nowadays. So he would keep up with that. A lot of these serial killers would. I know Big TK was huge with doing this, Ted Bundy, etc. And they would change sometimes the way they did things so that they can try to go ahead and lead police on a false trail. So I think that's another big reason why he switched up how he did things. Go ahead, you ask some, Angie?
Yeah, also, let's not forget that this guy has...
Talking to Mike, Angie, bring it closer to you.
Oh, sorry. This guy had also like an associate in police science. And he studied, he had a bachelor's in criminal justice. So that's why he became a police officer. He also was a veteran in the Vietnam War. So he had a lot of background on like how the police will operate.
Yep.
And
tactical experience.
Yeah, he also, like Myron said, he will keep up with the media. He will keep up with the news. So whenever like the newspaper will put like details on how this ransacker or burglary or something will attack, he will change his modus operandi.
Yep. And one of the times they said that, oh, he only attacks women. So then he started attacking men after.
Yeah.
So
not men, like couples.
Yeah, he would attack couples. So, this is just kind of goes to show that the guy was definitely aware of what was going on and switched how he moved so that to avoid police detection. Let's get back to it.
Apartment at 5 a.m. from a 23-year-old woman. She had managed to walk backwards, knock the phone onto the floor, searching for zero with numb fingers. Her hands were tied behind her back, tied so tightly that she had lost circulation. She was calling to report a home invasion and sexual assault. She told police she had been awoken to a man standing in her doorway. She had initially thought she was dreaming, thinking to herself, "Who wears a ski mask in Sacramento in June?" before realizing the danger before her. She noted that the mask was strange. It was white with a coarse knit-like material with eye holes cut out and a seam down the middle. She also noted he was about 5'9", moderately muscular, wearing a blue t-shirt and gray canvas gloves. She also noted he had very pale legs with dark hair. He wasn't wearing pants, breathing heavily, and holding a knife. If you make
Pause.
one move or sound...
My man, I guess he forgot to tan before committing this assault. Let's go back to it.
"I'll stick this knife into you," he whispered. He had brought rope and tied her hands, but then opted to take a sash from her closet and use it to tie her hands instead. In between assaults, she could hear him in the house ransacking. From her bedroom, she could hear him opening drawers and rifling through her contents. He spoke in a low, guttural whisper through clenched teeth.
Pause.
He had cut her above her brow, which she felt was an accident.
Which, you know, you guys already heard how he sounded when we played that excerpt there. So it would be that weird, heavy breathing, strange creepo voice.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
But police had concerns about testing his limits for violence. In the weeks leading up to the attacks, what would later be noted as a trend. His first victim had seen an older, dark, medium-sized car drive by her house several times. She could never make out the face, but it felt like she was being watched. She had also started to receive frequent hang-up calls. Police had initially thought that the attacker was some kid, a punk who would be caught quickly, but there was something about this rapist that was different from others. He was careful not to remove his gloves. He had meticulously learned his victim's schedule. Although the house had been thoroughly ransacked, he had only stolen relatively low-value items. He would continue this trend, attacking single women who lived alone or with small children. He would bounce around different suburbs in Sacramento, Rancho Cordova, Carmichael, and Citrus Heights. It would follow a similar pattern: calls of a prowler, shoe prints spotted under windowsills, homes being ransacked. Still nothing of value was stolen. Repeated dropped calls, occasionally those who answered the phone heard breathing, sometimes threats like, "I'll kill your husband."
Hello? Hello?
This is what we heard earlier.
Yeah. Here, you can tab over a few seconds.
Totaled 10 victims. His fifth victim, Jane Carson, recalled cuddling her son in the early morning hours on October 5th, when she heard someone running down the hall. Her husband, a captain in the Air Force, had just left for work moments ago, and she had assumed he had forgotten something. "Jack, is that you? Did you forget something?" A man wearing a ski mask entered.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So I was watching an interview of this lady. Recent interview of this lady, and this guy entered her house 3 minutes after her husband was gone. 3 minutes.
He didn't waste it. Yeah, that means he was watching for a while.
Yeah, he was waiting. He was waiting for the guy to come out so he could enter. And he tied the baby, the kid, who was like 4 years old or something like that, and then he tied her. So this is crazy to me, like, to know
for him to do it so quick right after.
Yeah.
But I mean, that tells you that he did his homework.
Yeah,
like
and
the fact that he was so confident to enter in 3 minutes after the guy left, that tells you he'd probably been watching them for weeks.
And also, he committed like the attack, the rape. He will take the kid to another room. He will do it, and then he will take it back to her, right next to her, and he will leave and leave them like tied up.
The whole time that he was like raping her, all the mom would say is like, "Please don't kill my kid."
Yeah.
And like she was like in tears and like all like worked around, and he just gave her kid back like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I'm done here. I'll see you. Bye." I guess what do they say? Ejaculate and evacuate. That's what he probably would. It was like, I gotta get out of here. Fucking weirdo. All right, let's keep going.
The room. He was holding a butcher's knife. Jane had been sitting up in bed, her 3-year-old sleeping next to her. "Shut up, or I'll kill you. I just want your money," he whispered through clenched teeth. Okay, whatever you want, Jane complied. He bound, blindfolded, and gagged both Jane and her son. He then picked up the child and moved him to another room. Jane was now in a full-on panic, not knowing where her child was. He repeatedly told her to shut up. She said he must have told her at least 50 times.
You guys are going to see why those dinner plates and cups become very important pieces of evidence later on. Let's keep going.
He assaulted her, but before he left, he returned her son onto the bed beside her. When she knew the intruder had left the house, she ran to the neighbors and got help. The attacker had entered the home through her son's bedroom window, only moments after her husband had left.
3 minutes
and only
exact.
2 weeks prior to the attack, they had been a victim to a strange burglary, where the intruder had also entered through their son's bedroom window.
Pause.
Thief had
that right there, guys. The reason why he was so brazen is because he had broken in before, so he felt a little bit more confident. So he did a test run, it looks like, and then he went back and actually did the real thing right after. Keep going. And I think you could hit the space bar, Angie, to make it easier for yourself.
rings, but had left behind some jewelry that had been stolen from their neighbor's house. Police had been sure it was the same guy whose primary objective had never been theft. Jane and her husband hadn't been concerned about a rapist in the area. There had been a media blackout at the time regarding the crimes of the East Area Rapist. Jane would later tell media outlets that she would have taken more considerable precautions had the police been more open about what they had known about the attacks. Rumors had swirled about the attacks because of the blackout. The police couldn't dispute the stories, and strange details began to emerge about the ear mutilating victims. He began targeting more affluent neighborhoods, perhaps because of the lack of accurate press about him. He attacked twice in one night.
Shout out to the news media.
You are fake news.
They're messing up. Let's keep going.
One of the victims was a housewife in Carmichael. Police felt he was pushing into the nicer neighborhoods to get more attention. In the 1970s, there was a dramatic uptick in crime in California. Most detectives who worked that decade referred to it as the dark times. His first crimes had...
And guys, it wasn't just dark times for California. It was dark times all over the United States. Inflation was going through the roof. Obviously, we had just been in the Vietnam War. You had a bunch of crime going on in New York City. They used to call it Fear City back then. The mafia was running rampant. Serial killers were running rampant. Technology wasn't as prevalent as it is now. They didn't have cell phones to record these crooks. So there was all kinds of crazy crime going on in the 70s. That's why the 70s, guys, was referred to as pretty much the heyday of when most of the most prolific serial killers were operating. All of them pretty much had a golden run during the 70s. And it's because of all these things that contributed to it. Let's keep going.
Been reported, but once police realized they were dealing with a serial rapist, they opted to enforce a media blackout not to validate him with the press or scare him off from the region. October had brought 3 more attacks after Jane's. The 1970s was a time long before they had dedicated departments to sex crimes. Long before there was criminal profiling, terms like signature behaviors and rituals were often used to distinguish offenders from one another. In Jane's attack, like the attacks before, he had cut her just on the shoulder. Police believed he was suppressing an urge to inflict more pain. In the assaults following James, he had begun clicking scissors and threatening to cut off toes. He would stab the bed next to victims, and psychological torment became a new signature of the ear. He would often use their names, mention personal information, such as their high school, to torment them, making them believe that they knew their attacker. He would stand silently, sometimes for hours, making victims believe he had left before making a noise to indicate he was still there.
Pause. Imagine how crazy of an individual you have to be where you break into someone's house, assault them, sit around, they think that they're safe, and then they just hear you still there breathing, acting crazy, bro. This dude was on some serious... He just wanted to terrorize them. And here's the other thing, too. By him saying, oh, I know where your high school is, I know this, etc., that would go ahead and create even more fear in the victim so that they couldn't feel okay, should I go to the police or whatever? This guy knows who I am. He knows where I live. He knows, he really knows what I do. So he would also do that because guys like this get off on the fear of their victims. So, and he had nothing but time. He would just sit there and, you know, stalk them and figure out their life situation so that he can go ahead and terrorize them even more. Let's keep going.
Ear was always described the same: white, 5'9", late teens, early 20s, medium athletic build, clenched whisper, small penis. He spoke hurriedly, but
Pause. Whoa, bro. All those girls are like, this dude got a small D. He can't even do it right. What the fuck, man?
Ew.
God damn. All right, let's keep going.
physically moved in an entirely leisurely way. He would drape towels over TVs or lamps. Lighting seemed to be necessary, and he had particular psychosexual needs. He would often bind his victim multiple times and would use different materials. He never fondled the victims and would question the victims while assaulting. He had asked Jane, "Is this like the captain's?" while he had been raping her. While he was assaulting her, he would snap at her directions. "Put some emotion into that," he would order, "or I'll use my knife."
What the
It
fuck?
hadn't been typical for a ski-masked rapist to be so devoted to recon. This was the police's most significant concern. They were dealing with someone different, something they had never seen before. After his attack in Carmichael, 500 people attended a town hall regarding the attacks on November 3rd. The following day, the Bee, a local newspaper, published an article about the 8 attacks that had occurred so far in 1976. The detectives awkwardly fielded questions they had no answers to, and reminded people to be vigilant in their neighborhoods. They had never anticipated so many people to attend.
Law enforcement officials from every police agency in Contra Costa County tonight are looking for the man who raped a 13-year-old Walnut Creek girl early this morning. The young victim was attacked in her Rancho San Miguel home. Police say she described her attacker as a white male, 6 feet tall, weighing 185 pounds.
Was wearing some
Let's fast forward it real quick.
Type of a mask, or I was in the residence for gained entry. She was bound.
Keep going.
And we're inside
the
the residence.
Clip earlier. I know why she.
When a man came up behind her. 1977 marked a turning point for the Ear. The Sacramento Bee did an article warning single women and how to protect themselves, and they wrote, "The East Area Rapist will never attack while a man is in the house."
Pause.
After.
Okay, now they challenged him. Let's see what happens after this.
Yeah, he took this cues as challenge.
Yep.
But they didn't say something.
What?
I don't know if you can want to say. And this like assembly that they made, like this.
Oh,
group
this
of
town hall meeting? Yeah. What
Yes.
about it?
So hang on. Let me put myself. So there was a guy that said, if this man comes into my house, I'm gonna kill him. And not only 3 months later, he attacked this man's house.
Oh, really?
Because he was actually present during the town hall meeting.
Yeah, he was in the meeting.
Oh, the Golden State Killer went to the town hall meeting.
There,
Yeah,
he
was
heard
there.
what he said, and he took it like as a, okay, I'll do it.
Oh, okay. Damn. So he was like, okay, let's see what you really do, man. Let's see if you're about it. Wow. This guy was evil, bro. Imagine like terrorizing a community. Like, hey, we're gonna have a town hall meeting to discuss this, and my man shows up like, oh yeah, I'm man, this really sucks. I changed the locks on my door. This is terrible. Oh my god. Meanwhile, he's scoping out the whole neighborhood and shit. Man, demon time for real. All right, let's
That
go.
article, almost as if it had been a challenge, the Ear began targeting couples. He read the news articles written about him, and if they noted a particular trend, he would adapt. Some speculated he would even change his appearance. If it was written he was pale, in his next attacks, they would be carried out by a much more tanned man.
Pause.
His hair went from...
And if you guys notice, all these sketches look completely different.
Yeah.
So that tells you that he was on top of it, you know, taking over steps to change his look between attacks so they wouldn't know. And he did a good job because think about it. They had all these different nicknames. They had all these different sketches. So they didn't know that this was all the same guy. Let's keep going.
Long to short, he was continually adapting. His attack on couples was an escalation point in the Ear's criminal career. There were 11 attacks in a row. He would get the female to bind the man and separate the two. After bringing the woman to the living room, He would force the men on all fours and stack teacups and saucers on their backs, saying, "If I hear these rattle or crash, I'll kill her." The attacks would look the same: shoelace binding.
So he would put him in the anus and reach position, aka being on all fours, and put a bunch of fucking plates on their back. That's actually a really smart move. Because if he heard anything, he knew right away, okay, I'm going to go back over here and deal with the threat. And again, this guy was smart. He would set booby traps up in the house, like on doors, etc. So if it would get tripped, he would knew someone was coming. And as he got more and more sophisticated, he would go ahead and incapacitate the guy by setting up plates on him so they couldn't move, man. Because obviously in their head, they're like, damn, if I move and he hears this shit, he's going to kill my wife. So they were literally powerless. So shout out to anus and reach position. If y'all know what I mean.
And wrists tied so tight they were bruised, empty beer cans and food eaten. He took his time, often staying in the house for hours after assaulting the victim multiple times. He would ransack the house, opening cupboards and drawers, stealing engraved jewelry and stamp or coin collections, photos, occasionally money, but never taking anything valuable. Some items would be found later, dumped somewhere nearby. He had told one victim he had been in the army. This had already been a line of theories from detectives. There were 4 military bases around Sacramento and 1 Air Force base. Many of his victims described his demeanor as someone who had a background in the armed forces. They recognized the methods he used. He would open up multiple exits, stalking the potential victims for weeks. The dishes trick was a technique commonly used in the Vietnam War. He would also turn off air conditioning units to hear better, in addition to his preference for knives and how proficient he was with knots. There was also the suspicion that the ear was one of them. He was always one step ahead of the police. Treetop cameras were placed in neighborhoods officers thought he would likely attack. They had depleted their entire overtime budget for the year by April, having additional patrol cars, and floodlights were installed in most neighborhoods. Homeowners began trimming back shrubbery and trees to maximize visibility. If the police were focusing on one area, the ear would strike in another one. He also seemed more knowledgeable in police techniques than the average citizen. He wore gloves.
And if you guys notice, he's committing these crimes in small little areas where the police departments aren't necessarily sophisticated. We're talking about police departments that might have 5 to 10 guys. So they didn't have the ability to conduct full-on manhunts to find this dude. So he was also smart to hit multiple places and multiple jurisdictions that didn't have the law enforcement capacity to actually bring him to justice, because he already knew what was going on, being a small-town cop himself. And the military experience helped them significantly as well. Let's go back.
And he seemed to know where police were patrolling and when. He had even shouted at a victim to freeze as she had been trying to scurry to the telephone. They never seemed to be able to catch a break. The police of Sacramento began cutting tree limbs, removing shrubbery, anything that could hide a prowler. People were installing floodlights and lighting up entire neighborhoods. Over 3,000 guns were sold in 3 months. Households began sleeping in shifts or not sleeping at all in the hours between 1 and 5 a.m. People started putting bars on their windows, and people would gather in neighborhoods for neighborhood watch stakeouts.
And guys, this is an understatement. During this era, this guy was like a legend. He literally had everyone shook down to the core. I mean, 3,000 guns like that. Talk about creating business. You know, locksmiths were busy as hell. Gun owners, people that did any type of security type work, they were all getting crazy business from this guy. And no one had created this much turmoil and fear in California until Richard Ramires about 10 years later, the second Night Stalker. But this dude was the original Night Stalker. Let's keep going.
No one was safe, and it seemed the whole community was on high alert. On May 17, 1977, police were called to Carmichael. A man stood on the side of the road with a shoelace dangling from his wrist. The man spoke in a thick Italian accent, and the officer Richard Shelby recognized him immediately. He had been at the town hall meeting about the attacker 6 months previously, and he had loudly spoken out about the East Area Rapist and the investigators. The ear had been at the meeting. He had seemingly chosen this victim as a challenge. After what was the 42nd attack in Dansville, investigators were searching an area that a neighbor had reported seeing a suspicious vehicle in the previous day, and they discovered 3 sheets of paper torn out of a notebook. The first sheet appeared to be some homework, part of an essay on General George Armstrong Custer. The other sheet was a journal-styled writing about how the author had been made to write lines by their teacher and how angry it made him. The letter was called "Mad is the Word." Although it is unclear if it belonged to the ear, investigators did use it to attempt to find a suspect. The author specified having a male teacher, and assuming he went to school and was a local in the area, there hadn't been a lot of male teachers at that time. But this didn't turn up any new leads. The last page was a hand-drawn map of what appeared to be a suburban neighborhood with the word punishment scrawled on the reverse. They couldn't determine what neighborhood it was, but it revealed that the artist had a strong knowledge of architectural layout and landscape design. Police then began to look into anyone who may have done security for development projects, or cartographers, anyone who would have had a valid reason for being in a neighborhood for extended periods of time. A lot of the areas the ear hit were usually adjacent to building developments. Brian Maggiore was out for a walk with his wife Katie and their dog. The couple were in high spirits celebrating a promotion where Brian, an administrative specialist with the Air Force, had just received word that he was being posted to Germany. It was about 9 p.m. and they were only blocks from their apartment in Rancho Cordova, where they encountered a man prowling in the dark. It is believed that Brian chased the prowler into a nearby backyard. Brian, who was 6'1" and had a good 50 pounds on the prowler, was closing in on the suspect when the prowler produced a gun and shot Brian in the chest. The prowler then came around the house and chased down Katie, who was running away, and fired. She was shot fatally. It was initially thought to be unrelated to the ear, but at the scene, a pre-tied binding made of shoelaces were found near a window of a nearby home. The young couple, only in their early 20s, murder rocked the already terrified community. A witness looked out a window witnessing the entire scene. They were able to describe the shooter as wearing a ski mask, wearing a brown leather jacket with dark, quiet shoes. At this point, the ear only killed out of necessity, only in times when he felt there was no other way out. The Maggiore's murders marked his second escalation of violence resulting in death. During his attacks, he began telling victims he would start killing. He would say that he wanted them to relay messages to the police, and that he wanted to read that message in the papers the next morning. There was a break in the summer in 1978.
This is a very common trait, guys, between a lot of serial killers, whether it was Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, aka the Killer Clown, Jeffrey Dahmer, Gary Ridgway, all these serial killers, guys, Samuel Little, etc. They really get off on getting attention from the media. And back then, guys, like, I mean, I'll just say it. Most serial killers are fucking clout chasers. Like, they are the original clout chasers, man. Like, they not only did they enjoy the thrill of killing people and having a MO to do so, they also enjoyed all the attention that came their way from all these heinous acts. And that's why they didn't want to go ahead and publish some of this stuff when he was in the early era of him being the ear, because they didn't want to give him that attention. But in the negative of that is the people didn't know what was going on, so they weren't able to properly adapt. So it gets to a point where the crimes are being committed and the police have to notify the public, and that gives the killers exactly what they want. A lot of them get great satisfaction from being covered in the media because, like I told y'all before, man, you did not have your own platforms like Instagram, the internet, Facebook. None of that existed back then, man. You could only be a celebrity or be famous through being put on mainstream television and or radio. That's how it used to be before, when they had the monopoly on all production. Anything from you ladies before we get back to it?
Do you have anything?
Nope. Okay, nope. All right, let's get back to it then.
His last attack had been in June, and for a while everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Police began being reassigned to new cases, hopeful that the man terrorizing Sacramento was in prison or had died. Their hopes were quickly discarded as attacks started the following October. His attacks began to stray further and further from Rancho Cordova, stretching south to San Jose, then suddenly back to Rancho Cordova, and back down to Walnut Creek. The summer of 1979 also saw a break. Like he began to take summers off, only to start again in the fall. Police believe there was a strong connection to an academic calendar, as he...
I mean, serial killers need breaks too, man. You got to go on vacation a little bit, man. Some paid time off. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with the kids and stuff. And by the way, just so y'all know, he had a family during this period of time. So that could explain also why he would take summers off. His kids probably weren't in school.
Yeah.
Significant breaks between July and October, and attacks never happened on school holidays.
I didn't hear him come in. I didn't hear anything. And all of a sudden, there was someone standing in my door, the bedroom door. And I looked up and I thought it was my dad at first, because he drives weird hours and he might have come in early because it was early in the morning. And nope, it wasn't my dad. So he came in, he had a ski mask on, and jumped on the bed and had a knife. And I don't exactly remember what he said, but something to the effect of, don't scream, don't, whatever. And tied my hands behind my back. He put a cut over my eye, but I didn't even realize that I had been cut. And I guess part of what he said is that, I don't know what he said. I just remember feeling extremely threatened.
Pause.
After it was all...
And this is common, guys, like when victims are describing the event, they're in such shock, like they don't even, everything is moving so fast. It's very difficult for them to recall intimate details like that. So, obviously you go through a traumatic experience like this. This is like life-changing type shit, man. So obviously terrible for the victim. Let's go back.
Over and done with, he went through the stuff in the room, took money out of my purse, took some coin books and stuff that I had, and took a piece of jewelry. It was just something that I had just gotten. I don't even know what it was. And I laid in the bed for, it seemed like forever, because I never heard, I was waiting for the door to close, and I never heard the door close. So I was afraid to get up to see. And finally I said, okay, this is do or die. I don't hold it against him. There's something wrong with him.
No, you don't say. All right, pause. All right, so now we're going to get into the original Night Stalker area. But before we do, let's hit some of these chats real fast. So you guys can see, man, that this guy was terrorizing the community. And the reason why she stayed there for so long, guys, is because, like we know from before, what this guy would do is he would sit in the house longer. The person would think they're safe, and then he'd make an abrupt noise, and they'd be like, oh, damn, okay, he didn't leave. So he'll constantly take that, I guess, maybe feeling of being safe for a short period of time. He'll take it away immediately and let them know, no, I'm still here. So this guy was on some demon time. What do we got here? Go ahead, Kim, you got it.
Venezuela and Colombia, Myron, we are going to induct you into the Passport Bro fraternity.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. What else?
Knowing what you know, Myron, do you believe you would have performed better than the police at the time if you were brought back to that area?
Ooh,
that's a
nice
really good question.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing what I know now, like what what you know, Myron, yes, I would have. Because I would have relied heavily on working with other agencies and networking, because if I know what I know now, like let's say they like move me back in time, like in a dream world scenario, right? They moved me back 40, 50 years ago. And I have the knowledge that I have now, and I'm back in that era for sure, because I would go ahead and do things. I would have to basically do all the old-fashioned police work, but I would know that's the way to do it. And I would do things that police back then typically didn't do, like working with other agencies, establishing like databases that are shared between different agencies, and just being more, I guess, cooperative. Because the thing with law enforcement is a lot of agencies don't want to share information, and they don't necessarily, they want to be the guy to catch them, which is good and bad, because in one sense it makes the agency competitive, so that it incentivizes them to perform. But on the other end, it's bad, because since everyone is trying to catch the same guy, a lot of times they want the credit, they don't share information. So it's a double-edged sword that tends to bite a a lot of agencies in the ass. But back then it was even more pronounced because they didn't even have the databases to do so. So yeah, I think if I was knowing what I know now, going back in that time, yeah, I would have definitely employed some tactics that back then they were definitely not doing. Because there was a lot of Keystone cops back then as well, guys. What else?
Alex says, like the video or I'll kiss you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Not really, but okay. And guys, we got 2,100 of y'all watching right now. Do me a favor, guys. Like the video, man, because I see we got only, I think we got
1K.
we only got 1K likes, man. So guys, hit that like button, man. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let's keep going. What else we got here, Kim?
Christopher says, damn, this killer is creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I know. This guy's on, yeah. Now I can see why you anytime you guys request a killer, they're always on the weirdest ones, man. What else?
JC, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, that's a super sticker.
Super sticker.
Also,
okay, shout out to you, JC.
I want you guys to think just like a second about this. This guy will go into couple's house, will make the woman tie the man, and then he will proceed to rape her in another room while the man is listening in the other room. So, I mean, if you guys, I mean, I cannot imagine how you a man to think about that. You know, like you're helpless. You're like you cannot help her.
You're just lying. You're just sitting there on all fours with fucking dinner plates on your back. Like, what the fuck is going on, bro?
It must be horrible to be present. You know, to go through that.
Absolutely. What else do we got here, Kim?
JC, sir, says, for a typical home besides big canines and cameras, what would you say is the ultimate deterrence to make a crazy man like that fear coming onto your property?
Well, nowadays, you know, I would have you guys would be amazed at how like just putting like an ADT sign like in the front of your house saying like this house is protected by ADT even if you don't have it. That helps keeping your lights on at night. Getting a camera system, guys, like that's definitely in today's day and age, you can get them for cheap. You can get like a Eufy or whatever. I'm a big proponent on you having guns in the house, having guns close to you at all times. Angie and them know that. Hey, Kim. Yeah, so, you know, obviously exercise your Second Amendment right. And yeah, man, having dogs also huge deterrent for a lot of these crooks, especially if you got like a guard dog, like a German Shepherd or a Doberman or something like that. That's a huge deterrent. So all these things definitely help you with mitigating risk as far as being a victim of a burglary or some type of crime like that.
Question: what is the thing that you mentioned? The MBDT, something like that.
The what?
It's like a security system. So it's a sign that says like you have cameras installed in a security system.
Oh,
yeah, you put it like on your front lawn.
Okay.
Like, I don't even know if ADT still exists. Does this still even exist?
ADT.
I think there's a different like company now, but it's like a little blue sign that people put on the front or on the windows and everything.
Yeah, I might be showing my age with that one, but y'all get the idea. Put like some kind of sign in front of your house that says this house is secured by blah blah blah. Because even if it's true or not, it'll make the burglar think twice. Like, because burglars are lazy, bro. Like that's why they're burglars in the first place. So they want to go ahead and commit crimes and get the money in the easiest way possible with the least path of resistance. So if you got a dog, you got cameras, it's obvious you got cameras. They're probably not going to be like, this is not worth it unless they really want to like get to you. Then you know what time it is.
And the beware of the dogs.
Yeah, that helps
sign.
Too. Yep. All these things to make your place seem less welcoming.
Okay.
Junior Choice became a member.
Oh, shout out to you, Choi. Appreciate that. Welcome to the game.
Colin Parker says, appreciate the content, Myron. Also, nice watch. Leveling up from the Rolex. From what I can see, looks like an AP Royal Oak.
Yes, this is the AP Royal Oak. Thank you very much, my friend. Yeah, I like APs a lot, man. They hold value well. And nowadays, if I'm going to buy a nice watch, I'm going to make sure that it holds value. So I did a whole episode on watches, by the way, guys, on Fresh to Fit. I had Nico Leonard on there, and we talked watches. So if you're a watch guy, definitely go watch that. We talked about good watches, bad watches. We talked about Rolex being lame and not having anything in stock. But APs, man, long story short, they only make about 40,000 of them a year. Yeah, they're a little bit more expensive, entry price around 30K or whatever, but they hold value a lot better than Rolexes do. So thank you. And I like them. They're nice and clean. But yes, you are right, sir. This is a Royal Oak Blackface 2014. Let's see here. We got
super sticker.
Okay, appreciate that. Michael Meek. That's it? Caught up?
Yep.
Cool. Let's get back to the doc. Now we're going to get into the original Night Stalker era. And how many people we got watching? We got 2.1 of y'all, 2,100 you guys. You guys could be anywhere else in the world, but you guys are here with us. If you guys are watching on Twitch right now, okay, go ahead and open up another tab and watch us on YouTube. Like the video over there as well. Again, I'm multi-streaming it on Twitch and YouTube because I am going to play some other documentary here that may or may not get us turned off in the middle of the stream. So, you got to preemptively prepare, right? So, all right, let's get into it, Angie. Thank you. Like the video, guys.
Okay. We're laughing at the chat, by the way.
There was a chat.
Sacramento's.
Yo, you laughing? What they say?
To put a sign, beware of masculine women in the house.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw that.
Beware of Shaniqua. They definitely not gonna show up at that point. They're like, nah, I'm good, bro.
I'm also laughing at the chat because Department of Justice is just beefing with IRS right now.
Yo, you guys are the best chat ever, bro. You got all these government agencies in here fighting with each other. It's fucking hilarious, man. All right.
East Area Rapist has been active for 16 months. 15
Scroll
victims.
up a bit, Angie.
At first, a single investigator worked the case full-time. Now, several people are involved. The pressure to catch this man has been mounting, but a multi-rapist often acts on impulse.
Most of the multiple rapists attack on impulse, and so they have no predetermined point of attack.
So finally, years later, now they're finally making a task force and going after this guy, right? Which they should have done this from the rip. But again, back then, different times. Let's go back.
There is no way to calculate a pattern of where they're going to strike next, or the type of place they're going to strike next, or who their next victim is going to be.
Many of those involved with the case say the East Area Rapist lives within the area where he operates, that he picks upon blocks of homes within neighborhoods, jumping from one to the other. One of his few mistakes was to attack a woman who lived only one block inside Sacramento's city limits and then steal her car, which only brought in the city's rape detail and 4 more people to work toward catching him. It takes a while for a community to wake up. Sacramento was no exception. By late fall, when the East Area Rapist began claiming 2 and 3 victims a month, citizens began buying everything they could think of to protect themselves. Gun sales are way up, with some of the buyers not that familiar with how to use firearms, and that can be dangerous.
In the summer of 1979, he took a second summer break in a row. In the fall, he had moved to Southern California in the Santa Barbara area. At first, his series of crimes were not initially linked to the East Area Rapist. It wasn't until much later that the crimes were linked via DNA evidence. He was dubbed the Night Stalker, but serial killer Richard Ramirez had also received the same.
And just so you guys know, I did a full episode on Richard Ramirez as well. Yes. They did a whole, Netflix documentary on him. So if you guys want to watch that one, I have a whole serial killer playlist on the Feddit channel, man. We cover everything over here, man. Yeah. We're the best true crime channel on YouTube, baby. Yeah. So if you guys, saw the Netflix series and you guys want to get a little bit more insight and get my perspective on a Night Stalker, the second Night Stalker, aka Richard Ramirez, go ahead and check that one out as well. But this guy right here was the OG Night Stalker.
I wish I could have done that with you as well.
Yeah.
And also like the serial killer, because I'll be passionate about those cases as well. But you guys have been requesting Richard Ramirez, and Myron has had it like ages ago on the playlist. So you guys could, if you will check the playlist that he has on serial
Actually, can you pull it up real quick for them, Kim, on YouTube, because we're not playing sound, so we can actually show it from your screen. Let's go back to the documentary. When she pulls it up, we'll have it ready and we'll show them. Because y'all been asking me for the same cases over and over in the comments.
So to differentiate between the two, our killer was given the prefix original. October 1st, 1979, in Goleta, the weather was hot and humid, and a young couple slept with their windows open, trying to capture a breeze. They woke not to the uncomfortable temperature of the room, but a blinding flashlight pointed at their faces. A voice from beyond the light ordered them to roll over on their stomachs. Then he ordered.
Here you go, you guys, real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just add her screen to it. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, here.
Yeah. So yeah, if y'all hit that's the playlist. Go back to home real quick.
Okay.
If you guys scroll down, right, see, I got most popular videos. Then I got all videos, old, recent to oldest. And then you scroll down Sunday videos, which is the live streams. Then we got the Thursday videos, which is the pre-recorded stuff. And then I got infamous serial killers right there. You got obviously Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, the Zodiac, the Night Stalker. Hit the tab to the right real quick. To the right? Angie, yeah. See how it says next to Night Stalker? No, hit that little button to the right.
Okay,
keep going. Yep, right there.
Okay.
And then I got here, obviously, the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, Samuel Little, who has 93 murders, with the Toy Box Killer. Oh yeah, that guy was crazy. That episode was wild.
Yeah.
BTK, the Unabomber, right? That's a classic one. The Railroad Killer, and then we got Ed Gein, aka the guy that they made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre off of. So I've covered a lot of these serial killers that you guys want. We got a few that we still got to cover. Obviously, we're doing Golden State Killer now, and then obviously we got a whole Mafia playlist for y'all, right? That's been a lot of work. Y'all been asking for the Mafia for a long time, but we got the original John Gotti, the Gambino, the Lucchese. We got the Bonanno family, the Genovese crime family, and then now we're gonna do the outfit. We're probably gonna record that tonight, and then we'll go ahead and give y'all the Columbo after that. And then here's I got a whole 9/11 playlist as well, which covers the official narrative and the unofficial narratives. And just so you guys are wondering, hey, when are we gonna bring Ryan Dawson back? Ryan Dawson, he was in Japan, guys, this past Friday, so we couldn't do the broadcast. But we're gonna bring Ryan Dawson back next Friday. Not this coming Friday because I'm going to be out of town, but we're going to bring him the Friday after that to finish up the 9/11 situation. But yeah, all right, let's get back to it.
The woman to tie up her boyfriend using a ligature tossed at her. The man growled orders at her in a strange, forced whisper to tie it tight or she would be killed. The man then tied her. Neither of them got a good look at the intruder. The man demanded money and began rummaging through drawers and slamming them shut. What seemed like a century later, he returned to the room. He forced the woman onto her feet and walked her into the living room. He then forced her on the floor. He threw a pair of shorts over her head to prevent her watching his movements. He went to the kitchen to continue opening and closing drawers and cupboards, then the fridge. He sounded like he was pacing and began chanting to himself, "I'll kill them, I'll kill them, I'll kill them." Like he needed to encourage himself. While he paced and chanted, the woman managed to wiggle out of her body.
He was searching through the fridge. He was trying to get some Wheaties, fucking, and prepare himself to fucking do the killing, man. Breakfast of champions. Oh, man. All right, let's keep
Findings
going.
And
Needs
sprint
sustenance
out
for
of
his
the
murders.
house. She screamed that kind of blood-curdling scream that movies can never quite capture, alerting her neighbors. Her boyfriend, still in the bedroom, had been able to hop out of the back door. When he got close to the shrubbery in the backyard, he dropped and rolled under an orange tree, narrowly missing a frantic beam of flashlight, searching. The next-door neighbor of the couple was an FBI agent. He had been enjoying the quiet evening trying to finish a book when he was alerted to the screams. He grabbed his firearm and ran out to the front yard. In his peripheral, he saw movement, and his vision flicked to a man furiously biking away from the chaos.
Wow, crazy.
The neighbor got in his car and pursued the man. The man dumped the bike along with a steak knife and dove between houses. The agent attempted to maintain vision but eventually gave up. The couple only had a vague description of the suspect. White, dark hair, maybe 5'10" or 11. The FBI agent didn't...
They got lucky. They had the FBI agent down the street, man. Shout out to that. Go ahead. Let's keep going.
Didn't have much to add. He hadn't been wearing a mask, and he wore a plaid shirt, jeans, and tennis shoes. The agent received a lot of backlash from local cops for not shooting the assailant, but he stood his ground, saying he didn't know what had happened in the house yet, if there was a weapon, or if he was even the suspect that had attacked his...
Yeah, it's actually good that he didn't shoot him because he probably would have been indicted for murder or manslaughter if he had actually shot the guy because he was not presenting a threat on his life at that point. Let's go ahead.
His neighbors. He didn't feel he could open fire based on the information he had at the time. This also was the first attack in the area, and he had no idea this would be the first in many murders. The bike had been stolen from a nearby home, and the steak knife had come from the couple's kitchen. The couple themselves had been confident that the intruder had every intention of killing them, and had he not given them time to get away, he would have succeeded. He never made that mistake again. After this, there are no more witness accounts of his crimes. There are only crime scene reconstructions. He struck next in Goleta on December 30th, 1979, and his victims were Dr. Robert Hoffman and his new girlfriend, Dr. Barbara Manning. Then a married couple, Charlene and Lyman Smith, in March 1980, in the Ventura area. Lyman was to be appointed as a judge, and the police felt it was a targeted attack. Charlene had an unusual knot used to bind her wrists. This briefly brought him the moniker the Diamond Knot Killer. In August, it was another married couple, Keith and Patrice Harrington, in Dana Point. The following victim was in Irvine. She had been home alone and thought to be bludgeoned to death. She was married, but her husband was in the hospital at the time. Although he had a solid alibi, he was still lead suspect in her murder. Years later, his second wife would say that they would often receive hang-up calls and occasional threats for many years following. She truly felt that she would be next. Even decades after the last attack, victims would often be tormented with hang-up calls or taunts like, "Remember when we played?" He enjoyed their change of tone when they recognized his voice. He wanted them to know he was still out there, alive, free. One victim could hear a woman.
And also, I want you guys to kind of understand where this guy's coming from. For you to find someone's phone number back then, you had to actually search them up in the fucking phone book. Okay, I know some of y'all are probably like, wait, what, Myron, what are you talking about? What the hell is a phone book? Like, what?
The yellow,
Yes.
the yellow pages.
Yes, the Jello pages, the Jello pages. Yes. So, like back then, guys, if you want to get someone's phone number, they had these big ass phone books that you'd search the person's last name and they'd have all the numbers there. So he would actually go through the process of figuring out what their number was, identify that number, and then call them back months after the fact to be able to relish in his crime and get that terror out of them. This guy really got off to that shit.
I once saw one in a hotel. Like, I've never seen one.
Yeah,
I've never seen any of those.
It's a dated thing. Like I'm showing my age right now with phone books. I mean, Kim probably doesn't even know what the hell a phone book is. Like, wait, what?
It's a big ass book that you just have to look for it.
Yeah.
I've seen one.
So you've touched one before?
I have.
You know what it is?
I do.
Okay. Let's
Well,
keep
I
going.
can imagine
Oh,
like
go ahead.
back then.
Put
like,
a camera on y'all, man.
Sorry.
When you guys talk.
I can imagine like back then, like people could not like change numbers or anything, right? Because these are land phones.
Yeah, they could, but it was a pain in the ass. You'd have to call a phone company, and it's not as easy as it is now.
Okay, right.
So
let's go back to it.
And children in the background, and knew he was out there, living a life with his family. Investigators were sure he still lived locally. One woman had started a new job waitressing at Denny's. During a seemingly uneventful shift, she answered the restaurant's phone, and the caller threatened to attack her again. Police theorized that her attacker had coincidentally been at the restaurant. Around Christmas, one victim picked up the phone one day and the caller said, "Merry Christmas, it's me again."
This guy.
See, he was so lame.
All right, Diamond Knot Killer era. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the chats real quick, and then we'll cover this part, and then we're going to go into how they caught him, guys.
We just have a few chats.
Make back says W stream.
Shout out to you, my friend. Thank you.
And Tony says Feddit merch coming soon.
Maybe.
Hopefully. I'm rooting for Myron to
Yeah.
make
I do this channel, guys, like on the side for fun. It's not really to like make money and profit a bunch. I really genuinely do enjoy this stuff. And I think that you guys enjoy getting my perspective on some of these famous cases. So I'll see.
People are asking for merch.
People want the merch.
I guess. All right. I'll figure something out for y'all.
Julio says Angie say Myron, and Kim said yes sir on God.
Myron.
No, man, stop, bro, stop. Move on. God damn it. The
That
worst
was
thing.
it.
And guys, do me a quick favor. Go ahead and like the video, man. Subscribe to the channel because and shout out to Angie and Kim in the back because Kim had done quite a bit of research on this guy prior to, and Angie did as well. So they helped me quite a bit with preparing for this podcast for y'all. What else we got?
Oh, those were all the chats.
That was it? All right, cool. Let's
Yeah.
get back to the documentary. I think you got something on screen here, Angie. And actually, no, that's you, Kim. But you go ahead, Angie. You're good. Go play.
His crimes in the 1980s became fewer and further between. At this point, it is unclear if there are more crimes attributed to him that aren't connected yet, or perhaps he had a change in personal life that was putting a damper on his ability to be as prolific as he had once been. In July of 1981, there were 2 more victims, bringing the total of his South California crimes to 10 and 11. Sherry Domingo was temporarily staying in a deceased relative's house while it was in the process of being sold. Her boyfriend, Greg Sanchez, was also a victim. The two had been separated for several months when he went to see her for dinner. This attack, more than the others, seemed like a crime of opportunity. Greg was young, fit, and based on the scene, it looked like he gave one hell of a fight. He suffered a gunshot wound to his cheek and continued to fight on, but ultimately he was bludgeoned to death. This would be the Ear's last attack on a couple. A piece of evidence had renewed hopes for capture. Flecks of paint recovered at the scene. The Calais Real shopping center was being developed around the time of the murders. The development was in its final stages of construction at the time of the Offerman Manning murders, which would have included painting. However, this lead didn't pan out either. Taking on couples was posing to be more of a challenge than earlier on in his career. He was now having too many close calls. People fighting for their lives weren't as easy to incapacitate. The men kept getting closer and closer to gaining the upper hand. After the Domingo Sanchez murders, he disappeared for 5 years. His last known victim was a teenager named Janelle Cruz. Her family were on vacation in Mexico, and Janelle was at home alone. She had been assaulted and beaten with such overkill that she was unrecognizable. This case wasn't thought to have been connected, but it was linked by DNA years later. It had broken a 5-year hiatus, and Janelle had seemingly no connection to any of his other victims in the area. Janelle had multiple men coming in and out of her life, and it had seemed that one of them had killed her in a jealous rage. But the evidence couldn't connect any of them. Janelle's house was less than 2 miles from the 7th murder, so it was likely he had stalked the area before. It, like many other victims' homes, backed onto a drainage canal. Police had one suspect in mind for the Southern California murders. He was a Goleta local, a career criminal, but he was killed when he had tried to buy guns and drugs in Mexico, and it had been a setup. He died in 1982, and the slaying of Janelle Cruz in 86 eliminated him as a suspect. They had been so confident it had been a resident of Goleta. They had never really looked elsewhere. Like the crimes in Rancho Cordova, Goleta had a San Jose Creek running adjacent to the residential neighborhoods. The first 3 houses he hit ran along the creek. It had provided a prowler with ample coverage to observe unnoticed in the dark, allowing him to bypass the need to venture into the neighborhoods and risk being seen or captured.
Also, guys, running into a creek helps with getting dogs off your scent when you're running from the cops. So that's another, benefit to being around the creek when you're committing these crimes.
That's interesting.
Let's keep going. Yeah, it does. It's not 100% foolproof, but it does help to a degree to blunt your scent for the dogs.
Much like his other crimes in Sacramento, there were also tiny details that indicated his presence, only realized in retrospect. Janelle Cruz was the final victim. Many investigators were sure he was dead. There had been a burglar who had been shot by an armed homeowner, and they had hoped he had been their guy. Sexual predators never truly stop. They have to be stopped. He began to be forgotten about. No one wrote about the unsolved, unconnected crimes for decades. His crimes were pervasive, and he impacted so many lives. He was once a boogeyman, plaguing communities for years only to disappear. Even in making these videos, multiple people have commented detailing how their lives had been changed forever. 20 years after the crimes had been committed, most of the evidence had been destroyed. This was routine evidence room procedure. Cases that had passed the statute of limitations needed to make space for newer evidence. However, some labs kept all of their evidence on the ear, hopefully that one day it would be required for.
So just so you guys know, what ended up happening is they turned over all this evidence to the FBI. This picture that these pictures you guys are seeing here in the past 5-10 seconds, this is where the FBI kept all the evidence because yes, statute of limitations, guys. It's between 5 to 10 years depending on certain crimes, especially like rape, whatever. They do have statute of limitations. Murder, no. But burglary, rape, in some states there's statute of limitations, which basically means you can't prosecute someone after a certain period of time has elapsed. So since they were able to put all these crimes under one individual, what they did was they turned it over to the FBI and consolidated all the evidence in one location where they would have everything together. And you guys are going to see here that the FBI does come and get involved in this investigation, even though it's typically a state case, because the feds don't really have jurisdiction and burglaries / murder cases that's typically reserved for the state. But when you have something that's hitting all these different areas, all these different cities and counties, etc., they would reach out to the feds a lot of times for assistance with finding this guy.
That was one of my questions. I had this written down for a while now for you, Myron.
Yeah.
So nowadays, like in this age era, like if a killer's like this, what department will take place to investigate these kind of cases?
Oh, that's a really good question. So it depends on where it's caught. So I'll give you an example. Like let's say it's in Texas, right? And there's a murder. Typically, the lead agency is going to be either the city police that are there or the sheriff's office, okay? Or they'll do the case together. But typically, it's going to start with the city police department that's there. They're going to have first right of refusal. Now, if the police department is too small and can't investigate or doesn't have the capacity to do that murder, it'll go to the sheriff's office, right? So we'll work small to big. So the city will take it first. Let's say they don't have enough police officers or they don't have a homicide unit. It's going to go to the county. If the county doesn't have the capacity to do it, and let's say maybe it's above their capabilities, maybe they don't have a forensic unit, maybe they don't have the resources, or maybe the sheriff's department is small, they don't have a refined homicide unit, it's going to go to the state. And when I say the state, I'm talking about the state police. If it's a high profile type murder, a lot of the times it's going to go to the top state agency. So for example, like in Texas, you have a high profile murder, it's going to go to the Texas Rangers.
What's a high profile murder?
A high profile murder would be maybe the murder of a child that's receiving a lot of news, maybe of a prominent figure, maybe a politician is being killed, maybe it's related to gang violence or whatever it may be. But it's high profiles and like it's getting a lot of media attention. If it's getting a lot of media attention, typically the state is going to come in and take the case. But it really comes down to where the crime occurred. Does the police department that where the crime occurred have their own resources to take it? If they do, they're going to take it. So if you commit a murder in New York City, for example, NYPD is going to take that all day.
Yeah, of course. But what about like a case like this? For example, like this guy is moving around. So what about if he goes like right to the borders of California, because he was like all around California?
Yeah, so it would be all the different sheriff's offices would work together, and then each of them would work their case in their jurisdiction, and then they would all come together and work and figure out which venue is best to prosecute them. So when you have a guy committing crimes in all these different places, you'll get with all the different district attorneys, and you guys are going to see this when I show you guys a press conference. All the different prosecutors will get together. They'll figure out what's the strongest venue for prosecution. He's going to get the most time here. The strongest case is here. They will go ahead and bring the case there and prosecute them there where they have the best chances when you have a situation like this. Or if they're able to establish that there's a federal jurisdiction, the feds will take it.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, what would it take for a case like this to get like a big department like the FBI to take charge of these cases?
Really good questions. It would need to affect. So for the feds to come in, it's got to affect something called interstate commerce. And interstate commerce, guys, is basically a fancy way of saying it affects commerce of the United States between different states. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say this Golden State Killer was committing these crimes, but he was also robbing banks. Well, banks, right, affect interstate commerce because banks are institutions that are federally insured. And what they'll basically do is they'll be able to tie these murders to bank robberies. So now the feds can step in. So if you remember the pizza bomber, right? The big reason why the FBI took that case is because, well, yeah, explosives were involved, so ATF was there. But the main reason why the FBI took that investigation was because he robbed a bank. So that gave the FBI jurisdiction to take the case. And then all the other crimes that occurred during the commission of that bank robbery, they're able to enhance. Does that make sense? So they need to commit a crime that affects interstate commerce or affects a federal jurisdiction. Another example is, let's say this East Area Rapist guy, or the Golden State Killer in this case, let's say he was part of a motorcycle gang, right? And he was committing these crimes in furtherance of that criminal organization or in furtherance of that motorcycle gang. Well, then the feds would take over and say, okay, these burglaries and these crimes, these murders, he's committing them to benefit the motorcycle gang, so we can go ahead and indict him under RICO. Or let's say he had been doing money laundering while committing these crimes. Then the feds can step in and say, oh, he's committing these crimes, he's getting paid for it, and he's money laundering, he's moving the money through bank accounts, wire fraud. So they need to commit some type of crime that affects interstate commerce for the feds to come in. Otherwise, if it's just like a simple burglary or murders like this, that's kind of like one-off, or maybe serial murders, the FBI could come in and assist, or the feds could come in and assist, but it's still going to go to the state for prosecution.
Right.
Does that answer it?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Down the market for good questions.
Trial. Paul Holes, a criminal analyst turned investigator, took on the case in the late 90s after coming across evidence boxes marked E.
Right. So that's going to be I think we're good with this documentary for now. Now we're going to go into how they caught him, guys. So he committed these crimes for well over a decade. No one was able to catch him. And again, let me show you all the map real fast. Let's recap. Okay. He was active from 1976 all the way to 1986, a decade of terror, guys. And he committed crimes in Sacramento, San Joaquin, Stanislaus, Yolo, Contra Costa, Santa Clara, Alameda, all these different cities and counties, right?
Yeah.
In different state jurisdictions. So, but he was committing rapes and murders. So now the case is, well, yes, and the murders. So now the case is going to get transferred to another detective, right? And we're going to go over and outline how he was able to identify this guy. So go ahead and hit, is it this one?
I think this one.
Oh, no, not that one.
This one?
Nope. Go back, cold case. Actually, well, you know what? Well, so actually, yeah. So not this one. Click the next one.
This one?
Yep. Click that one.
Okay.
No. Next tab. All right. So this is a press conference, guys, that was held in 2016 prior to them catching the Golden State Killer. As y'all can see, look at all the different agencies here. This woman that's up is the FBI Special Agent in Charge, or SAC, for the Sacramento area. So in 2016, I think this was on, June 15, 2016.
There you go.
They had this press conference, and I wasn't even looking at the screen, my bad. And this is where they announced that the FBI is going to get involved, and they actually put up a prize. Hit play real quick.
Sorry about that, Paul. So why are we here today? Today we're going to launch a national campaign to help identify the East Area Rapist, Golden State Killer. This unknown subject terrorized the communities in the greater Sacramento region from 76 to 78, in the East Bay Area in 1979, and Southern California from 1979 to 1986. Due to the number and frequency of burglaries and rapes committed in the Sacramento area, the subject likely resided in or near Sacramento from 1976 to 1978. This subject has eluded investigators for over 40 years.
So it's interesting that on the 40-year anniversary, they would go ahead and get involved at the federal level and put a $50,000 reward on him. So go ahead and go to the next tab, Angie. So, and here, if you guys look, here's the FBI cold case website, right?
Hang on, sorry. I just want to say that this was like a few months before this lady passed out, and her investigation on Michelle McNamara, the girl that.
The woman that wrote that book that we talked about in the beginning. This is right before she passed away.
Yes,
Okay.
she passed away in April 21 of 2016. So this same year that they're doing the press conference.
Okay.
So
and her book actually brought a lot more attention back to the Golden State Killer.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. That her investigation actually helped a lot into this like new investigation to catch him.
Okay. So her book reinvigorated the manhunt. Okay. So let's go ahead and pull up this cold case thing for the FBI. So go ahead and play on this. Between 1976 and 1986, a serial rapist paused. Murder and terrorized. Hit X on that little thing there, Angie. Okay. Terrorized California communities from Sacramento to Orange County. All right, go ahead, hit play.
I think so when I pause, it appears.
Yeah, just get it out next time.
He's got to be one of the most prolific criminals when you think of the other murder cases that are connected and all the rape cases. And God knows what else we don't know about.
He's not concerned about human life. He enjoys the terror. He enjoys.
All right, so hit that little X button right there, Angie, so it gets out the way. So I'll read this for you. It says, dubbed the East Area Rapist and Golden State Killer, the man committed 12 murders, 45 rapes, and more than 125 residential burglaries. Hit play.
Is inflicting that type of an emotional type pain on people.
During that time frame, everybody was in fear. We had people sleeping with shotguns. We had people purchasing dogs. People were concerned, and they had a right to be. This guy was terrorizing the community. The case started in 1976 with a rape of a female in the Rancho Cordova, Carmichael area of Sacramento. His primary entrance into a residence was by prying open doors or windows at the rear of the residence. He would then get in, have a ski mask on, and often shine a flashlight in the eyes of the victims. At that point, the victim.
That's a common police tactic, by the way, guys. Like I can tell you guys from my personal training experience, they taught you how to shine that, whenever you got your weapon light on or whatever, get a bright ass light so you shine it in their eyes so it disorients the subject, when you have your weapon on them. So that's a police tactic. And and the person talking right now, by the way, guys, is the FBI case agent that handled the Golden State Killer, because once the feds opened up a case, right, you need a case agent, and his job was not only to get the resource of the FBI involved to catch this guy, it was also to monitor it from the federal angle as well. But keep in mind that the state is still the lead agency on this situation. It's just that when you have high-profile cases like this, typically the FBI will come in to assist because, like I told you before, I've made my jokes, that the FBI are definitely clout chasers. And it would just so happen that on the 40th anniversary of him committing these crimes and, the resurgence of an interest in this individual from that book that Michelle Nakamura wrote, it sparked that, reinvigorated the need to find this guy because it went unsolved for so long. Let's keep going.
Would be tied up, and then he would sexually assault the female and ransack the residence, taking small items, small rings, coins, other items would be taken, sometimes cash, whatever he could find. We know that after he committed his crime, he would jump over the rear fences of residences, run through other people's backyards, obviously avoiding streets where people would see him. He'd run out to the levee, run through the fence, get out onto the levee, and then get onto the parkway where he could easily hide in the bushes or trees and escape capture. We have identified the DNA for East Area Rapist. We just don't have a face.
So that's the whole, like, look at all those files, man, for this case. They have like a whole area just dedicated to him. And the FBI took it from all the other different agencies so that they can house it because they didn't want the evidence to be destroyed. Because as you guys know, once the statute of limitations hits, there's no point for them to keep the evidence. So the FBI preserved it. Keep going.
For that DNA. So at this point, the FBI is assisting our local counterparts, Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, Contra Costa County
Wow, look at all the evidence that they have on this guy here.
I told you. Yeah.
Sheriff's Office and our southern partners with collection of DNA of possible suspects. So when we go out, we identify someone that potentially might be.
This is also common, guys, where if you have like a criminal that's committing a bunch of crimes in an area, and the local agencies are kind of like disoriented or confused, and they kind of want to house all the evidence in one central location. This is also common to get the FBI involved to put everything in one place so they have all the evidence and they're able to kind of work out of one area together as a task force. So that's another reason why they consolidated all the evidence into one location.
Something that was lagging in my head right now, like it's since I said that the 70s was like at the peak of serial killers here in America.
Yeah.
You will think that like each area, each state will have its own serial killer because you'll have Gary Ridgway, you'll have Ted Bundy, you'll have all these guys. So they were striking all from different places in the US. I want to think like how much this evidence and how much these cases helped aid, improve, enhance investigations nowadays for these like kind of cases.
Yeah, it forced the police to step their game up is what it did. It forced it yeah, absolutely. Like the 70s forced police agencies to adapt and overcome and become better with working with each other, using better technology, sharing information. So this 1970s absolutely forced law enforcement agencies to become better.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Suspect on this case or a person of interest, what we're doing is looking at who they were they in custody at the time of the crimes, what's their blood type, any other ways to eliminate them at that point. If we can't eliminate them through various other means, we're then going out and interviewing these people and contacting them and asking for a consensual sample of DNA.
Yeah,
that
see,
DNA
they got
is
all
then
the
only
old
compared
records from
against our
70s
East
to
Area
70s.
Rapist sample. So we're doing this all over the United States. We obtained a $50,000 reward leading to the arrest and capture and conviction of the individual responsible for the East Area Rapist series.
It may push somebody over the edge of who knows something and kind of provide us that one tip that we need.
Boom.
Just like any homicide.
So now you guys, just to recap real quick the show before we get into how they caught him. So, guys, welcome to the podcast. As y'all know, we're covering the Golden State Killer, a.k.a. the East Area Rapist, a.k.a. the Visalia Ransacker, all these different crazy-ass names. Yeah. He was committing burglaries and rapes between 1976 all the way to 1986. They did not catch him for decades. The FBI ends up coming and joining the investigation on the 40-year anniversary of 2016. They start a whole campaign with a $50,000 reward to go ahead and catch this guy. So now we're going to get into how, I think it was Detective Hole, if I'm not mistaken, actually identified this guy, and they were able to finally apprehend him decades later. So I got this right here from, I think this was from 60 Minutes. Go ahead. Yeah, next tab.
The last tab?
Yeah, that tab right there. This This is Unmasked the Golden Killer. This is from 60 Minutes Australia. Let's go ahead and
This
go into
documentary is pretty good. I watched.
Yeah, this one isn't bad.
The whole thing.
Cookie. Pause. And that individual there was one of the guys that worked with him when he was a police officer, saying that he was very intelligent and they were basically he was able to evade detection a lot of times, guys, because he knew police practices, like I described to you earlier, how they would cordon off the perimeter. He would basically have his car parked, and he knew a bunch of techniques to avoid detection because he knew how police departments worked, being an Exeter Police Department officer himself back in the day. But he ended up getting fired for shoplifting. So let's go ahead and hit it.
So this is the neighborhood where the East Area rapist started attacking.
But ultimately, not as smart as Detective Paul Holes, who, after more than 2 decades of investigating, finally figured out DeAngelo's lies.
All the houses are single story. He rarely went into a neighborhood that had 2-story houses. He liked to move around, hop.
So just so you guys know, this is 60 Minutes, so we're going to have to be a little bit more deliberate here with pausing it, and I apologize for that, because they began hit with the copyrights. And show me on the side, Angie, by the way, too. Just hit that, you know, there you go, bam. So what I was going to say here is this guy, Detective Knowles, ended up getting on this case in the 90s, but he didn't end up solving it until a decade plus later. So because this case had been passed down to him from another detective prior.
And move through the backyards.
Detective Holes says in the mid-1970s, Joseph DeAngelo moved from Exeter to the suburbs of Sacramento, which then became the rogue cops' new hunting ground.
As far as the law enforcement training, he understood exactly how patrol was going to respond to an attack that had occurred. And so he would park his car at locations so he could, as law enforcement is potentially responding, slip through that and get to his vehicle many blocks away from where the victim's house was to be able to drive.
Pause. And just so you guys know, remember, a police officer chased him, and he was able to evade that police officer. Why? Because he knew the neighborhood even better than him and was able to get away. So this guy definitely did his homework, and that's why he was able to avoid getting arrested for so long, is because he would stalk the victims for weeks on end and make sure he hit at the best time and had plenty of escape routes so they wouldn't be able to find them after the fact.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
And Kim, if you can help me if you want. So I want to give a shout out to Bailey Saria because she actually helped me a lot with this research.
L.
Myron hates her, but we love her. So she said in her video that
Some chick that puts on makeup when she does true crime. I'm like,
she goes over it like so well. She has like information that she actually looks into, and
everything.
In a lot of videos, it's
we
not
love
there.
her. So I've done the work with her. If I will know that the buttons Chris is somewhere, I will give her a ton of mark. Anyways, she actually said that there was a victim that had a brother that had a lot of money, that he was rich. So he actually gave away $2 million to help and aid the investigation to catch this guy later on.
Yeah, it was the brother of the guy that originally got killed, right?
Yes.
Yes, the father. Remember that we showed you guys before. It was his brother that put $2 million to pledge for DNA to make sure California collected DNA from suspects.
Yep.
So, which ended up working out very well here.
Yeah, it helped a lot.
Joseph DeAngelo used to work here, a police officer by day, and by night, the East Area rapist. The first 44 rapes and 2 murders were committed while he was a cop here, until he was caught shoplifting a can of dog repellent and a hammer. The police chief sacked him on the spot.
Pause.
A few weeks later...
How dumb do you got to be to steal fucking that bullshit and a hammer to go ahead and lose your job, bro?
You stupid.
All right, let's keep going.
A prowler turned up at the chief's home outside his daughter's window. He was convinced it was a vengeful DeAngelo. But staggeringly, the police chief never followed it up. It was the one big clue that could have put a stop to all the killing.
Jane, when no one followed up his dismissal from the police force for shoplifting.
Yes, it's crazy.
For rape victim Jane Carson Sandler, that oversight should have been the moment Joseph DeAngelo's secret was uncovered.
That's surprising, isn't it?
Very surprising.
That's probably the biggest miss of the entire investigation.
I
isn't it?
agree. I agree. I agree.
In 1979,
This is the fifth. This lady was his fifth victim.
Fifth? Okay.
The one with the child that we mentioned earlier.
Ah,
That's
yes.
her.
Okay, that's her now
Yes.
today. Okay.
the spree of sexual assaults in Sacramento stopped abruptly for no obvious reason. What investigators didn't know was their biggest fear had come true. This sadistic, violent rapist was on the move again and had become even more brazen. When the East Area Rapist re-emerged in Southern California, it was as a fully fledged serial killer. So he starts off as the East Area Rapist.
That's correct.
And that name gets changed to the Golden State Killer.
Yes. So you see an offender that over the course of more than a decade, he's moving through the state. And at that point in time, law enforcement is not conclusively connecting the dots that this is the same guy. He is probably the only offender that I know who has had different monikers when it was an unsolved series.
The Golden State Killer murdered 13 people across the state of California. Added to the 50 rapes and various other assaults and kidnappings, he became one of the United States' most hunted fugitives. Every detective in the country wanted to solve the crimes, including Detective Paul Holes, who first got his hands on the case files in 1994. You started investigating this just as DNA technology.
And just before he gets into how I identified it, just to give you guys a little insight here, the worst thing ever, man, is inheriting an old ass case from another detective or another investigator. Holy, I got to give this detective a Don DeMarco because there's nothing worse than getting an old ass case that is big as hell. You have zero idea what went down before. You get the case because the detective before you got, retired or whatever it may be. So you're a newer detective. You get assigned a big case like this. You don't know what went down before. You don't know where to start. And kudos to this guy for taking the initiative to take this case seriously, because a lot of the times, whenever you get cases handed down to you, you're like, bro, this isn't mine. I don't give a fuck. And you go ahead and you pursue your own thing. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm guilty of it myself. Like when I would come into a group or I start a new field office, they'd give me a bunch of old ass cases. And I'd be like, all right, I'm going to close all these things out as soon as I can. Because it's not your baby. You don't give a shit. But this guy, obviously, with the star power that this case had, he took it seriously and was able to bring it to fruition, which is really great. So shout out to him for that, because inheriting an old ass case is a pain in the ass, guys. I can tell you that from being a former investigator. Let's go ahead.
Was becoming a real thing for law enforcement, didn't you?
That is the reason why I initially decided, well, I need to look at this case because I have this newfangled DNA technology. And I was like, well, let me see what I can do. And since 2001, the Golden State Killer's DNA profile was up in the FBI's CODIS system, which is the FBI's DNA database.
That's a national database.
That's a national database. It's over 16 million profiles in that database. It didn't hit.
Because Joseph DeAngelo had never been convicted of any crime, in trouble with the police on that level. He was not in any database.
He had never been convicted of a crime that qualified him to be compelled to give his DNA to be put into a database.
And you guys are probably wondering, well, what's compelling enough to put someone's DNA in a database? So back in like 2013, 2014, guys, there was a new rule / mandate from law enforcement agencies that if you arrested someone for a felony, you had to DNA swab them, right? So, I mean, at the feds, I didn't have to do that so much because when I arrested someone, I'll turn them over to the marshals, because think of the marshals as like the federal sheriff's office. They basically take all the prisoners. They would DNA swab them. But for any time you're arrested for a felony in the United States, they typically DNA swab you nowadays. But back then, he had not been convicted or caught for any crimes. He had never been arrested because he just got like a petty theft, which is probably a larceny back then. And they didn't DNA swab you back in, the 60s, 70s when he got arrested for that shoplifting.
Wasn't he convicted for like the shoplifting?
No.
Yeah, but it was the crime wasn't. I don't know if he got convicted for it, but either way, it wouldn't have been a crime that they would collect DNA on back then. Like nowadays, they might if it's a felony, but back then they didn't collect DNA for some of these crimes.
He didn't get convicted. What happened was he was just kicked off the police.
Okay, so yeah, it was just like he got caught, and okay, so yeah. But even if they did catch him, they wouldn't have collected DNA anyway. It was before that time.
So how did you find him? So that's where, as I sat back, just almost feeling defeated about all these years, haven't found this guy. How am I going to get this case to progress? And that's when I learned about this technique using genealogy and DNA.
Oh, shit.
discovered that family
Oh, shit's about to get real.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Go ahead.
History websites like Ancestry.com and Gedmatch.com can help track down persons of interest. One of their features is that you can enter your own DNA to find long-lost family members. But Holes took it to the next step. Using DNA collected from the Golden State Killer's crime scenes, he uploaded it to see if he could get any matches.
Pause. Oh man, now you regret whacking off at other places, huh? That lotion ain't so good now, is it? Oh man.
This is scary.
They had all that DNA from this dude whacking it in them places, slugging his meat. It's gonna come back to haunt him now, bro. Let's keep going.
Was a brilliant thought. Smart, modern detective work. Were you doing this, though, on a clandestine level? Did you have to create a false profile?
Yes. So we created an undercover profile and uploaded the Golden State Killer's DNA profile in.
All right, guys, when he says undercover profile, whatever, but basically what that means is the police department paid to create an account, paid to submit the stuff, and what they did was they created a fake profile as if it was really someone trying to figure out, if they're related to this serial killer. And they did it surreptitiously that way so they wouldn't alert the company that they were conducting an investigation utilizing their site. That's basically what he means when he says we use an undercover profile. He basically posed as a regular person trying to identify a potential, relative that they're long estranged from. So yeah, man, very, very smart detective work right here. Let's keep going.
To Gedmatch. Within a day, I had the list of potential relatives to the Golden State Killer out of Gedmatch.
What was your short list?
So we ended up with roughly 5 males that had California connections that were of the right age that caused us to have to do a little bit more research on who these individuals were to see if they had any other aspects of them that caused us to, we might need to look at them closer as a potential suspect.
That shortlist had the name Joseph James DeAngelo.
Pause.
He
Gotcha, bitch.
Holy. 40 years later, they got your ass, bro. All right, let's keep going. Now let's see how they got him.
of the Golden State Killer perfectly. He lived in Sacramento and was the right age to commit the crimes. After secretly watching him for days, police took a used tissue out of his garbage bin and tested it for a definitive DNA match. It came up positive. The fantastic gotcha moment.
Gotcha, bitch.
There is no question that Joseph DeAngelo is the Golden State Killer. The DNA evidence that we have in this case is conclusive.
Coming up, staring down the gold.
So, yeah, guys, that's freaking crazy. And another example where this happened, you guys, if you guys like this, like, catching guys decades after the fact, go watch the BTK breakdown I did. Basically, he came out of retirement, right? Because I guess he wanted to bust some nuts and kill some people again. And he was sending the police all these, like, clues, sending them a cereal box, haha, serial killer, whatever the fuck, with tied up dolls. The police ended up catching him as well through DNA, and it's very interesting how they did it. So if you guys like this serial killers facing justice decades after the fact type theme, go ahead and watch the BTK breakdown I did. Also very interesting how they caught him through the use of DNA. All right, so let's get into the trial.
Okay. The trial.
Oh, no. That back to, no, how you had it before. We'll keep playing the video that we had.
Okay.
Golden State Killer.
Hopefully he'll stay here till the day he dies.
And case closed for a good cause.
Pause. Yeah, share the screen. There you go.
After 24 years of looking for this guy, and I got you.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
Also, guys, do me a favor. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel.
Margaret Wardlow and Jane Carson Sandler have waited 40 years to look the man who raped them in the eyes. Today is that day. But looking at the shuffling, frail, elderly man in orange prison overalls, it's hard to picture the Golden State Killer. the monster behind at least 50 rapes and 13 murders. Seeing him in that orange jumpsuit, it must have given you some pleasure.
Pause.
Yes, I feel there's closure.
He's probably like on that Scooby-Doo type shit. I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling DNA websites. What the fuck, man? I know he's mad as hell, bro. What?
What
the fuck? Put the camera on you.
Yeah, hang on, let me put you here because we're gonna get hit with the copyright.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We got to play around with it when you're using 60-minute type shit.
Actually, when he got caught, he got arrested. You know what he said?
What?
What's gonna happen to the roast in the oven?
Wait, that's what he said when he got arrested? What's going to happen to the roast in the oven?
Those were his words. Like,
bro,
I got
He did not care. He was
like, I got a roast in the oven. Well, like not all nonchalant, like, well, I got a roast in the oven.
Could you imagine that all the police show up with the FBI and they come and arrest your ass? And oh, bro, I gotta get this pork done, man. Come on.
Yeah, he couldn't give 3 Fs. Like, he was already 73. I mean, he lived his whole life happy with his daughters and granddaughters and everything.
And his wife.
And his wife, exactly. So
who was the divorce lawyer?
Also, exactly. Which actually it brings us to the fact that I cannot believe that she wouldn't suspect anything. They will say that his wife didn't know anything about the murders and the rapes and everything. So that's sus.
Yeah, but even if she did, she isn't compelled to testify because spouses have something called privilege. Kind of like when you like attorney-client privilege with your lawyer, you can confess to your lawyer and say, "I did it." Spouses also have the privilege of they don't have to tell the police anything about their spouse.
Yeah, but
also
anyways.
into the video that I watched, when his wife actually started like becoming suspicious of everything.
You can enlarge cam. Yeah, there you go.
When his wife became suspicious, he stopped and he went on the summer vacation with his 3 daughters and everything. And it was said that he stopped because he had the daughters and he kind of regretted everything he did.
Yeah, crazy that he had 3 daughters doing all this crazy shit.
And he also had sisters.
Wow.
Yeah, and well, he stopped because of that. Yeah, what a big L.
Put yourself on camera, Angie.
Sorry. He stopped because of that. He stopped because he got married, he got kids. Actually, not because he got married, because he kept committing these crimes when he was married. But when he got his first daughter, or second, I think, that's when he stopped. And then his granddaughters and daughters testified for him in court. They said like he was a great dad, he was a great grandpa, and they
had no clue.
Yeah.
They literally had no clue.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to it. The trial.
I know where he is now. I've taken pictures of this building. I know where he is, and this is hopefully he'll stay here till the day he dies.
For Paul Holes, it's surreal to know the man he'd spent half his life searching for is now behind bars.
After 24 years of looking for this guy and trying to identify him, to see him, in the interview room on the computer monitor as I'm watching him just sit there looking dejected was a reward in and of itself.
He's just thinking about that roast. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
42 years after his first sadistic rape, Joseph DeAngelo was finally arrested here at his home, hiding in plain sight among his suburban hunting grounds. A retired father of 3 daughters, he's been married to a local divorce lawyer for all those years. And ironically, despite specialising in the trade and being estranged from him since 1991, she has never divorced Joseph. You see, the law here says communication between spouses is privileged. You can't be forced to testify against your husband or your wife in court. In short, we may never know exactly what she knows.
Pause. And she probably won't say anything because it'll make her look bad.
Yeah.
She probably had her suspicions. It's a lose-lose scenario, so she's never gonna say anything.
Well, we were talking earlier
that
he will leave, like, you will know because of his behavior that he was like an odd guy.
Yeah.
Because of his girlfriend. And we were talking later, like she kind of knew. Bailey said in her video that this first girlfriend that he got, and he was gonna get engaged with her.
Bonnie.
Bonnie.
We have a video on that too. If y'all want to really see how crazy this guy is.
Oh, you're gonna show that video?
Yeah, we could show it to them real quick. Let's go ahead and pull it up.
It goes over his childhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check this out, guys. This is how crazy this dude was when it came to He was a misogynist for real. He needed to get my book and stop being fucking angry at women. Hit the Golden State Killers. It's the fourth tab. Oh, there you go, Angie. She found it.
This one?
No, the one before that.
Okay.
That one. Go ahead, play this, and let's enlarge it. His ex-girlfriend
Golden State Killer
came and testified at his trial. Go ahead.
The former fiance of the Golden State Killer is speaking out to Inside Edition.
I got out of it, but to be engaged to him ever.
She was like, yikes.
Yeah, like, holy.
Is a regret I'll always have.
Bonnie Caldwell was engaged to Joseph DeAngelo in the early 1970s when she was just 18. Their engagement announcement was carried in the local newspaper.
He was my first long-term relationship. I didn't have dating experience. It started off very lighthearted.
But Bonnie broke off the engagement when she found out how scary DeAngelo could be. He did not take the rejection well.
Pause.
He actually...
And she didn't know about the murders at this point, guys. She just knew that he was acting a little bit weird.
No, but he wasn't committing murders back then.
You know why she broke it off?
No, because remember they had been able to trace back that he had been linked to burglary since 1968.
Oh, right. Okay.
But he hadn't killed people yet. Yes. Go ahead.
So he actually beat a dog to death in front of her.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she didn't cut it off because of that. She cut it off because he asked her to help him cheat on a test.
Yeah.
Not because of him beating a dog.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Not because of him beating a dog to death, but instead because he asked her for help cheating on a test.
Wow.
That
like what? Like cheating on a test, like in school?
That was the deal break. No,
Yeah, that was-
college.
Yeah, in college.
Okay, because
So that was the deal
yes.
breaker.
That was
not
the
the
deal
dog.
Exactly, like not the dog. But
What
like,
the fuck, bro?
like just help me.
I
cheat on
guess
this
fuck that
dog.
dog. Fuck that dog, bro. All right,
Yeah,
let's keep going.
He tried to abduct her at gunpoint so he could take her to Nevada and force her to marry him.
He said, get dressed. We're going to Reno. We're going to get married tonight.
Did you believe that he would use that gun if you said no?
I didn't know. Now I know that he's more than capable of using a gun to kill someone.
DeAngelo's hatred of Bonnie was unmistakable when he launched his monstrous 13-year-long crime spree. One of the victims says DeAngelo repeatedly spat out, "I hate you, Bonnie," as he raped her.
Take your mask off.
In court yesterday, 50 years after she broke up with him, Bonnie revealed her face and gave the monster a long, steely glare. She wasn't allowed to speak since she is technically not a victim of DeAngelo's crimes. Her friend, DeAngelo rape survivor Jane Carson Sandler, spoke on her behalf.
Even a gun pointed at her face could not make her choose you.
I don't think the man has a soul.
This is
Pause. That's an L. Can't even get a girlfriend with a gun to the face. Come on, man.
This is crazy. Like the victims and his ex-girlfriend just became friends.
Yeah, isn't that kind of weird?
Like so weird.
Like one of them was having sex with him consensually, and the other one wasn't. That's kind of fucking
Oh my
weird.
God, Myron.
Like that's kind of fucking crazy, right? They're like Eskimo sisters on some weirdo time shit.
What the hell, Myron just said that?
Just saying. What?
You're so crazy. Oh my God.
They're Eskimo sisters, man. On some weirdo time shit.
Sorry, I can't see through my tears.
There was more anguish today in the courtroom as the families of those DeAngelo murdered faced him down.
Today, I am in the room with the pathetic excuse of a man who will now finally be held accountable for his actions. My dad lay at the
Pause.
front door.
Oh, that's the daughter of the girl that. Okay, hit play. Yeah, that's the daughter of the girl that got her father got killed in front of her.
People are saying and cancel.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get canceled after that one. This dude, Golden State Killer, was out here busting nuts in all over California, man. Fucking going crazy, bro.
Myron's got like the darkest joke.
Oh my God.
Dark humor.
All right, let's go back.
And ended up dying on the way to the hospital.
DeAngelo, a former police officer, will be sentenced for 13 murders and 50 rapes on Friday.
Pause. Yeah, he ended up pleading guilty to those. And, you know, it's interesting because I would say that girl right there probably had one of the worst experiences because, yeah, she got raped and everything, but she watched her father die in front of her.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's go back to the 60-minute one.
Something this video didn't go over. People like
No, other one, second to last.
Okay.
Most people ask like why people like this do stuff like that, alongside a lot of other serial killers and everything.
Kim.
He had a very tough childhood. So his father was a sergeant in the U.S. Army.
Uh-huh.
So they moved around a lot. So he had like no friends and anything. So he wasn't in any sports. Instead, he would blow up animals for fun.
Yeah, that
Really?
was his hobby.
Yeah, that was his hobby.
A lot of serial killers start off with hurting animals.
Yeah.
Like that's how a lot of the Jeffrey Dahmer kind of started that way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys like start with hurting animals
Yeah, and also his sister
or fuck with animals. Sorry.
His sister testified that his dad, he never confirmed this, but his dad like apparently abused him, and he also was a witness when his 7-year-old sister was raped by two
armed men in the
airmen.
warehouse.
Oh.
Like
when they were in Germany.
They were stationed somewhere with his father, and he witnessed her getting raped by
wow.
some of his father's like coworkers and everything.
Damn. That's terrible, man.
You will think that these things like actually fucked him up a little bit, his mind, and he will become like, all these serial killers and rapists tend to be fucked up by something in their childhood.
Yeah.
They come with trauma and everything from
Yeah.
their childhood.
Yeah, because there's always that age-old question: are serial killers born or made? I would argue that they're mostly made. You know,
most of them. You will say that they are sociopaths.
Yeah. Guys, do me a favor, by the way, man. I hope you guys are enjoying this broadcast. Shout out to Kim and Angie with the extra insight, doing some research with these little tidbits that I didn't even know. But like the video, guys, subscribe to the channel. We got 2,000 y'all watching right now. We haven't been kicked off yet, thank God. So we got only 1.4K likes.
Don't call it, Myron. Don't call it. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, well, I mean the 60 minutes crap. But yeah, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We only got 1.4K likes, but there's 2,000 plus you guys watching, over 2,000 y'all watching. So go ahead and like the video, please. Let's finish up here.
I have said all through the years, somebody knew who the rapist was.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, you probably closed the tab accidentally. Here, it's fine. Share. Yeah, just go back to yeah.
L man.
L Angie. We're gonna give her a big L. It's fine. Put the camera on me. Put the camera. Actually, no. Put the camera on Kim and let her read the super chats while you fix that. Yeah. Enlarge her. Yeah. Let's read the chats while Angie does that. Go ahead, Kim. Read them.
CJ says, Myron, do you have any tips on how I could get smarter? Any books you recommend?
Yeah. Myron, do you have any tips on how I could get smarter? Any books you will recommend?
Why Women Deserve Less, out on Amazon right now.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Okay. What was that question again? Sorry about that, guys.
Do you have any tips on how I can get smarter? Any books you recommend?
Man, I mean, I got a bunch of books that I like. You know what I was reading recently that's pretty good, guys? It's the book by 50 Cent, Hustler's Ambition or something like that. I think that one was really good. A lot of good tidbits in there. And then we got the documentary back up, guys. Here, we'll put it back in a second. Pause it real quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I like Unscripted by MJ DeMarco. That's a really good book. But You Can't Hurt Me, also pretty good book. So yeah, man, you go check out some of those books as far as like self-improvement and getting your mindset right.
Big Mo says arepas originated in Haiti.
Here we go. You just started a debate.
Again, like Mo started this debate a few days ago between Kim and I, because if you know Colombian and Venezuelan
it's unspoken beef between us.
Yeah, that's unspoken beef. We have these big arguments on where arepas were originated, when obviously everybody knows that arepas were originated in Venezuela. So Mo started this, and now he's like turning it back to him like they were originating hate, which is
I
like
saw
not
him
true.
in the chat saying that he only said that to get us mad, but
Yeah, of course he did.
Listen,
Most problem.
arepas were originated when
would Google that.
Colombia and
course you would
Venezuela
Google
were
it.
together.
Yeah, right.
She would do.
Yeah, this is what they say when they're coping. Like they're doing this just to cope. You know that.
Look at what you started, Mo. All right, let's get back to the Golden State Killer versus Golden at A+.
Do you want to finish the rest?
Yeah,
of the
we'll hit
chats?
the we'll go back to the documentary.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, here.
Lead investigator, Carol Daly, still can't work out why suspicions about DeAngelo weren't raised earlier.
He had a different ski mask for almost every rape, a different jacket, different shoes. If he threw them away after each use, I have no idea. What did he do with everything he stole? Did he bring them into his house? Did he hide them somewhere?
So if you were a partner or a wife,
Right.
you think you would have some sort of inclination that something was going on.
I would think so, but then, if he was out all hours of the night, it would.
Basically, what happened was when the wife was questioned, she said that she believed him every time he stepped out, that he had to go work or do something like that. So,
yeah,
allegedly, of course.
Allegedly.
So let's continue
Mo
on.
is dying right now.
Most favorite term.
Either be divorce time or wondering, what are you up to?
The Golden State Killer case is unprecedented in many ways, but above all, for the way it was solved. Perhaps it's a look into where future police investigation is heading. And that could mean cold cases all over the world could be reopened to make use of the ever-increasing wealth of DNA material stored on genealogy websites.
It's a much more precise tool to be able to allow law enforcement to actually identify this guy that is committing these atrocities. And we're not seeing anything about who you are genetically. We just know, oh, you shared a common ancestor many generations ago with our guy.
At some time, somewhere in a penitentiary here in California, somebody will walk into a jail cell and say, "Sorry, I put you in there, Uncle Joe. I was just looking for some distant relatives in Norway or Italy."
There could be that scenario, absolutely.
As it stands, Joseph DeAngelo.
Yeah, so he's still thinking about that roast, I guess. But yo, look at his face like, man, I just want some roast. But yo, for all them serial killers back in the day, y'all were busting nuts at the crime scene, man. They're fucking coming for y'all, man. Next thing you know, FBI, open up! Because they definitely watching now, man. You guys want to bust nuts all over the place. Next thing you know, your cousin wants to, figure out who their estranged uncle is. Next thing you find out that it's a fucking serial killer, man. So these serial killers are about to get all caught, man. All right, let's keep going.
Will be
DNA.
tried for the 13 murders he is accused of. The 50 rapes fall outside the statute of limitations in California. But for his victims, including Margaret Wardlow, any justice is enough for the cruel man whose identity she thought she'd never know.
Pause. All right, so yeah, guys, he ended up getting 12 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 8 years, and he basically pled guilty, and he confessed to other unsolved crimes as well, and that was a part of his plea agreement because they were going to originally push for the death penalty, but he was able to avoid the death penalty by pleading guilty and helping them solve other crimes. And here's a list here.
Yeah, you can see the list right here.
You want to tell them real quick about this, Angie, because you found this list here.
Hang on, I don't know how to pull it up.
Oh,
here.
Yeah, just share the screen.
Okay, here. Here's the list, you guys. You can see all the victims. Some of them are identified, some of them are not, and you can see the charges and the number of the victim, of course, where he committed all these crimes.
Yeah.
So, and you can see like also the cases like by name. So Visalia ransacker, original Nile stalker, all these things.
Yeah, it's very detailed.
Mhm.
And this is on the goldenstatekiller.com. So if you guys are, one of these people that love stats and numbers and likes to keep track of this stuff, don't worry, someone already did it for y'all.
All the numbers of the people that he
Yep.
abused and killed and everything.
So
It's
yeah,
crazy.
go ahead and feel free to check that out. But
leave the
yeah,
link
that
below.
case is crazy. Let's hit the rest of these chats and close out here.
Julio says, "El Henny Angie is a bum. Big came with spinach and kale. Now we need wife number one. Say BBC gang, we up."
So, oh man, All
That was
what
easy.
else? And who said that? Put Kim
Julio.
on camera. Julio. Okay. What else?
Chinese.
Thank you, bro, for the
MSS.
donation.
What do you think is wrong
Angie, hit
with
10
the border
or 9.
crisis?
10, all right? Okay.
9.
Okay. Here.
L Angie. All right, go ahead, Kim. What were you saying?
What do you think is wrong with the border crisis from Chinese MSS?
I mean, anytime you open up the borders, it's always going to be a security threat, man, because you don't really know who's coming through. But I'm not surprised. This happened when Obama was in office too. They opened the borders like morons. What else?
Jamoran says taking notes.
Appreciate that, my friend.
Smashing reality. Myron, have you heard of the smiley face killer theory? Possible current serial killer in the Chicagoland and Lake Michigan area.
If it's the guy that I'm thinking about, the Chicago Strangler, they haven't caught him yet. I don't know if his nickname is a Smiley, but you might be thinking about that guy. Let's keep going.
Brandon Hunter, can we get a Feddit episode on guns and debunking liberal gun control myths? Also, blue-pilled conditioned men creating the increase in mass shootings.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one day we might even talk about that on Fresh and Fit. But yeah, definitely these, you know, the current sexual marketplace has played. What the hell? Someone used your picture? Oh, it's Kim. I guess it's you.
You want to?
Yeah, that's you. You're supposed to.
Yeah,
read
that's
it.
you. So you might as well just read your own super chat.
Angie, stop looking at my man Myron like that. I will secure the #1 spot.
What the fuck, bro? Yo, what the hell, man? You guys need to grow up. God damn it. Fucking
That's
hilarious.
probably Mo. Mo is be creating all these fake
Mo's trying to start
accounts.
trouble, man.
Yeah.
Mo's in the chat saying,
Yo, guys,
best
like the fucking
$10
video,
I
bro.
spent.
Like the video. We got 1.5K likes, but only 2,000 y'all are watching, man. Get us to 2,000 likes, man, for us giving you this entertainment. It's midnight right now on a Sunday, and we're over here filming for y'all, man. So going overtime. What
Kim's
else?
face was really hilarious.
What else do we got, Kim?
That's it.
That's it. Cool. Ladies, what are your final thoughts on this situation before we close out?
What are your final thoughts?
It was a good case. I've been wanting to cover it for a while.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Thank you for helping out on it too.
Thank you for
Don't be
having me.
Marco.
It was cool being here and doing it live, seeing everyone's comments and everything. And it was great.
I wanna give Kim a shout out because this is her first time doing this, and she actually did pretty good. I mean, you were great, sweetie.
Thank you.
You were great.
A lot better than her first time. Don't worry. We can actually understand you. You just suck at reading.
Dude, hang on. I cannot find the sounds. Anyways, yeah, I was very, very nervous the first time I did it, so I can understand how you are. And I mean, you did pretty good. I really liked you having it here.
Thank you very much, my love.
Cool. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that one, man. You guys have been requesting this one for months, man. So I'm happy that we're able to finally deliver it to you, and we didn't get shut off while using the documentaries.
Yeah, finally.
So you got something, Angie?
Well, I really like this case. You guys been asking this for like ages, and we finally got it done. So I'm really happy for it. Hopefully we'll do like the Menendez brothers. I'm really excited about that case. Also, I'll get Myron to watch the documentaries.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll watch that tonight. Actually,
yes. So we can like cover it like next live, and I'm really excited for Michael Francisi here in the studio next week.
yes, we're gonna have him on Wednesday, guys. It's gonna be great.
Also, I'm
Yep.
finishing Why Women Deserve Less pretty soon. It's gonna be
In
done.
español.
In Spanish, yes.
En
Porque las
español.
mujeres merecen menos. Can you say it, Kim? Kim, say it.
Porque las mujeres merecen menos. Tienen que ir a comprar el libro, léanlo, edúquense.
She's so cute. She has like this Colombian accent. It's so cute. So yeah, you guys, it'll be done soon. Ooh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, just when you're ready.
We have 2 more super chats.
Oh, 2 more.
Oh, we have
Okay, yeah,
more.
we
Okay.
could go ahead, Kim. Pull them up real fast.
Toxically Masculine says, Myron, can you break down how you use a VA loan, home loan to start a real estate journey?
Yeah, just if you're a veteran, bro, you can use a VA loan to get a house pretty much with no money down. So what I would suggest is get that first house and make sure that it's a duplex or a triplex, because since you're not putting any money down, what's going to end up happening is your mortgage is going to be super high. So to offset that high mortgage, try to get a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, which you'll qualify for under a VA loan. Get into the property with little to no money down and have your tenants pay that high mortgage for you.
And then, will you ever do Ed Kemper?
Yes, we will.
Okay,
Soon.
Angie has it on the list.
Yes.
Angie's keeping a tally of all the cases that we need to do for y'all.
Yes.
So,
you guys, hang on.
go ahead.
You guys have been requesting loads of cases, also like cases from the mafia as well. We're not gonna cover them all because some of them are not like, I mean, I don't know how to say this, but like
Some of them suck.
yeah,
He said it, not you.
Yeah, some of them really like are not necessary for like the stream. So we're gonna just cover like the main ones that are very important for the Italian.
They get the
mafia.
most requests.
Yes, and also like they're very important for the Italian mafia history. So
Yes.
so we're gonna do that, and the cases that you have been requesting, I've been piling them up in the list. So, but
Yeah, there's
because
a big list.
it's a big list because you guys keep asking same cases, which are the highly requested that I categorize as highly requested ones, and also you add new cases all the time. So there is no way we're gonna cover all of them if you don't like keep asking for the same ones. So
Yeah, if you guys, we typically go for the ones that you guys keep asking for over and over. Like this
Yeah.
one, Golden State Killer. Yeah, I'd been asking for this one for a very long time. So I was like, we got to do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's okay to repeat yourself. I mean, well, I remember one guy used to DM me every single, like, damn near
yeah, he will
every
DM me
week
too.
about the mafia, which is why we covered it. But you know, with certain types of cases, we're gonna do a series first. Like the mafia, for example, we got to do it right. We got to do all the families. When I do the Colombia cartels and Pablo Escobar, I got to do it right. Got to do the whole series. When I do you know, Chapo Guzman, Wacking Guzman, you know, we're going to have to do a whole series for that. So if we're going to do big cases like that, it's going to be a series, going to take time, and I'm going to have to do it week by week. So that's another reason too, guys, where sometimes they're delayed. But yeah, I think we're caught up on everything, guys. Yo, don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to catch you guys tomorrow. I think we're going to either have a debate with Destiny and Rolo and Sartain and Sneeko, or we might have a regular Money Monday. I got to figure it out what we're going to do, but that's kind of what it's looking like right now. Angie, you got the stuff ready to go?
Yeah, hang on. I don't know how to do the.
No, I already have it set up for you.
And I will also want
Under
to
brand.
say, like, the case that we should cover as well, Myron, is, I'm gonna say it here live because you might forget, is Island Awareness, because I've been having like really a lot of people asking for that. So
The first female serial killer, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, Angie, hit the outro and we'll get out of here. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Feddit, man. Peace.
Okay, is it here?
L female.